Alrighty guys, welcome to my Season 14 Ultimate Akali Guide. In this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to play Akali like an absolute pro. I've been playing Akali for 14 years straight now, abusing this disgustingly OP champion against some of the best players in the entire world in Challenger, and I can promise you that if you watch this entire video, you'll know everything about how to play Akali at the highest level and know how to carry every single game. There will also be timestamps in the description for a guide on how to win every single mid and top lane champion matchup. But before any of that, let me explain to you why you should want to master Akali. Akali is the absolute most unique champion in the game. She is one of the few champions that can literally 1 versus 5 entire enemy teams, but at the same time, she can also one-shot any enemy carry. She can build to play like an assassin, or she can have equal success being played like a bruiser. She has infinite wave clear thanks to being an energy champion, but that's not it. Here are the two biggest reasons that after 14 years and tens of thousands of League of Legends games, I still choose to main Akali. The first reason is that she has an infinitely high skill ceiling. Even after thousands of games, you'll always be learning new things, getting a tiny bit better, and mastering all different kinds of combos in situations. You'll never stop being rewarded for playing her. That's not to say that you can't become incredible with her in just a few games, but she will always be rewarding. And the second reason is, in my unbiased opinion, she is literally the most fun champion in the entire game, out of all of the 160 plus champions. You can literally fly around the entire map, global dashes, you can one-shot entire enemy teams with the click of a button, and you are literally a flippin' ninja. She can comfortably be played in 2 different roles, top or mid, and she can fill the role of an AP carry, a tank, or a split pusher. My question to you is, why would you main a champion like Warwick or Jarvin with a total of 2 mechanics when you could infinitely be rewarded for your time spent? So with that in mind, I'd like to explain each ability in the way that I think of it, and in a way that can hopefully be understood even by an absolute beginner. Alrighty guys, I'm going to explain each of Akali's abilities as someone who's played her for tens of thousands of games, honestly. Let's start with the passive. Assassin's Mark. Essentially, when you use an ability on an enemy champion, it'll put a circle around them, and when you go ahead and run out of that circle, you now have extended auto attack range on one auto. The important thing that a lot of people don't know is if you get your passive procced, when you are running towards the enemy champions, you actually get a massive burst of extra movement speed. So without items at level 18, it actually goes up like about 150 movement speed, which is a lot. But other than that, what I would suggest when you're thinking about their passive is to make sure you're using it as much as possible. Like, you see how I'm using it every time I can? I wouldn't be like doing this, like 2 Qs without going a passive. It's a big waste of damage in fights that, yeah, you just don't want to do that. Next up, you have your Q. 5-point strike. Essentially, it's AoE, it's wave clear, it's a skill shot that comes out near instantly, and as all damaging abilities do, gives you a chance at your passive. This is useful for a lot of reasons, but it's an important thing to note that you should probably be using quick cast. You don't want to have to have the indicator on and then click it, because it's going to make it come out too slow. For a high intensity champion like Akali, I really recommend against it. So you want it to just come out really quick, and just have them flying during the fight as much as possible. So on top of that, you can see right here this little rectangle. Towards the end of your Q, it actually will slow the enemy. And I guess I just showed you guys something right there. But the Q will slow enemies on the tip. So not only do you slow them on the edge, but you're also able to get your passive to come back faster. So they're slowed and you're buffed up, which is why you're able to kill them and keep up with them over and over and over again. So that's that. Another thing you can do that is a bit of a more advanced thing, but you can actually max range, use your Q, and just instantly get your passive to proc. This is not something I recommend doing off the bat, but like eventually you can just pretty much just try your best. Even I don't get it perfectly every time. It's not easy, and honestly I recommend against it, but you can always test your skills. Next thing, we have our Shroud. This is not just an invisibility. This is much more than that, actually. This is so much more. It gives you bonus energy when you use it. So you can actually use it in a few different situations. So say you are, your energy's getting a little bit low or whatever. You can actually use it to keep going in the fight. So they might think that you're out of energy and then boom, all of a sudden you just decimate them. On top of that, it can be used for escaping and engaging. So one thing you could do right now, so say you're like, they're killing you, they're right there, oh no, you're low health. You can drop your shroud like just somewhere around here. And now you could be going in 100 different directions. You could go out here, you could be going out there, you could sneak out there and like, use your E over. Like there's a bunch of different things you can do with your shroud. It's not just a smoke screen, it's so much more. On top of that, you can use your next ability, your E, to attach to it. So you can actually attach to your shroud, but we'll go over that in just a second. We'll go over all that. So next up, we have Akali's, I would say, most controversial ability, her E. You throw out a shuriken, which is a bit weird because it actually makes you fly back and then you throw it. So don't have minions right behind you when you're trying to snipe an enemy. But essentially what it does is it throws out a skill shot, your little shuriken. It's not too fast, it's not too slow. If it lands or hits anything, whether it be champions, whether it be red buff, you can hit that. A few fun things about it: if you hit your E, it has a global range, so you can literally fly around the map. There's no limit. Say you're going against an enemy Shen, he's ulting away right there, you land the E onto him, and then next thing you know, you're falling down to bot lane. It's something, it's quite something. It's very, very fun. On top of that, your E2, so the E1, it doesn't do too much damage, honestly, but the E2 does a ton of damage, and you're in range to passive proc and use your Q. But the E2 has the highest base damage of a single target ability in the game, other than an ultimate. It is unnecessarily strong for this champion who already has enough damage. I'll be honest with you, it's very OP, very OP. So yeah, there's that. On top of that, you can use it as a dash over walls. So you can use it right there. There's a few little spots that a lot of people don't know about. One would be like right here, right there. You can actually fly that. And this is something you 1000% will want to practice, because oh boy, it can be very useful. And it will be one of those things that like separates a good from a bad Akali. So like, but like seriously, if I did that, but like say I wasn't all the way in this spot right here, I'm like right there, it won't work. And now my E is down, and now I'm getting chased, and I'm probably gonna die or flash or something like that. So you just want to make sure you learn the spots, and then not only that, but learn where to put your mouse. So if I put it right here, that's not it. If I put it right there, that's not it. But if I put it right here, it's it. That's just another thing to mention. That's essentially it. One small thing you can do, which will lead into your ultimate, is you can do I won't go into combos a bit more, but this is one thing I think that I've been doing a lot more lately, is you can actually use your shroud. It gives you movement speed as well, a nice little burst of movement speed. You can use your E to it to dash towards the enemies, and then you can go in for a combo and then fly out. It can be very useful if you're low health, but you want to dive into enemy champions. But we'll go into that in the combos in a bit. Now, next up, we have your ultimate. This is called Perfect Execution, and oh boy, does it perfectly execute. It is going to be a single target cast on the first part, so you can't just use it freely. You can't just click to anywhere. It has to be on a champion, and the range of it is guaranteed. It's the same range every time, no matter what. So that means that you can't just like, so if I'm right next to them, I'm gonna fly way away from them. I'm just using R2 now. But if I am right max range, it'll be a bit closer, which is very cool. Second part of your ultimate is an execute that can be dashed anywhere. It is also a set distance, which means that, like say like I know I can just like ult on top of him and press Q. Fun little opportunities seem to open up when you master that. Or something that you can commonly do is you know, say you get your R2 off on someone and like this is the low HP carry, you can actually use your ult, your R2, to guarantee that you fly in and land your E. So many combos. We'll go over all that in a bit, but essentially base magic damage, pretty good damage too, and then usually you want to get them low and then use your R2 as an execute for the big damage execution. And that's about it. You've got a total of 2 dashes, 4 dashes, a shroud, good wave clear, a flash as well. I guess that counts as 5, right? Because it could be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, come on, Riot. I love you for this champion so much. Let's move on to the next part of the guide. Alrighty guys, and now we're going to be going over the few different rune pages you'll be using for Akali in Season 14. So, if you're going mid lane and you're going against a champion that is either squishy or just mostly not a tank in general, you want to go for this electrocute page. This is only for mid lane, 99% of the time, but just only mid lane. Electrocute, sudden impact, eyeball, ultimate hunter. You can swap this up off a preference. You can go for the relentless hunter. If you want ingenious hunter, feel free. This is what I found to be the best, ultimate hunter. And then I always go for overgrowth and second wind. Second wind is great for dealing with poke. Overgrowth helps you scale into the late game. The exception to this would be swapping out second wind for bone plating against a few matchups, mostly champions like FIZZ, Sylas, IRELIA. Champions that when they go in to attack you, it's a commitment. So when they commit, you want to negate a bunch of damage with bone plating and just take the best trade possible. You don't want to do bone plating against a champion like Syndra who can just tap you with an auto or 1Q and then hey, now it's on a long cooldown. So that's pretty much it for that. Double adaptive and then scaling HP. You can go for flat HP if you're going against a fist fight matchup, which is champion matchups where you'll likely kill each other pre-6. So Katarina, Zed, FIZZ, Irelia, Yasuo, Yone, champions that fight a lot in the lane, trade constantly. Flat HP is your best friend to get that slight edge, but most of the time you can always just count on this rune page right here. This rune page right here being an amazing mid lane rune page. Then we will go to Akali top, or if you're mid versus tanks. So Conquer, Presence of Mind, Legend Tenacity, Last Stand, and then we go for Second Wind and Overgrowth. There are a few small changes you can make depending on the situation. The first one would be if you're going against a Scion and say there's another tank on the enemy team, you could go for Cut Down because it does more damage based on how much more health they have. However, in general, I would recommend just going for Last Stand as it is going to be giving you way more damage in important fights anyways. So that is my recommendation to you. On top of that, what I would do is go, if you are going against, let's just say, Irelia top lane, I would still go for bone plating. I think that's important. And other than that, I mean, not really much to do. You could also go flat HP if you're going against, say, a GNAR champion. Seems to be pretty easy to kill if you play aggressive pre-6. But as a default, this rune page right here, this rune page is perfect for top lane or mid lane Akali with mid lane Akali versus tanks. I wouldn't overcomplicate it. I would just do something like this, copy this one, save it, and then you can go to this one and save it, and you're gonna be good to go on the runes for sure. And now I'd like to talk about the items. There are so many good items in Season 14. Build paths have been blown wide open compared to the last season with mythic items and all that. There's actual variety, and I could understand how it would be overwhelming. So I would like to start from level 1 items, start into potential builds, and I think I can really shed some light as to what you should be building on Akali. So I think this is pretty obvious, but Doran's Shield is going to be used against any champion where you don't have the chance of killing them until 6. This means your Syndras, your Quins, anything that will poke you out Nico, you want to get Doran's Shield and a health potion as your start. Other than that, if there's potential to kill, say you're going against a Zed, a Fizz, anything like that where it's a fist fight matchup, you guys are going to be at each other's throats trying to first blood each other before level 6. Doran's Ring, 2 potions. That's it. No Dark Seal, no Doran's Blade. Let's keep it simple. Those are the 2 options. Now, this is when things could potentially get a bit more confusing, but I'm going to simplify it. There's 2 different builds for Akali. There is the Burst build and there's the Bruiser build. And within that, there's multiple build paths. This is going to be a standard build. Let's say you're going against any champion that's squishy, RE, even Zed, like ranged or melee, and they have at least one high priority champion in bot lane or jungle. So that means if you're going against like a Lilia jungle, very easy to one-shot, you want to get electrocute, you want to get burst items, or if they have a Lucian or a Vayne, immobile champions that are very easy to just get on top of and destroy. In those cases, you would want to go for something like this. You'd start with the Dorans and potions. Well, that's too many potions now. Start with the Dorans and potions. Say your first back, you'd be going for a alternator, and then you'd be getting boots and a dark seal because you got to kill. You don't even need to, but early on, let's just put it this way. You want to get a Storm Surge, and you want to get a Shadow Flame. If you are even remotely ahead, this is against a balanced team comp. They have AP, they have AD, they have things you want to one-shot with Electrocute, the one-shot build. And then this is the kind of build that you would be having about 15-20 minutes into the game, however long it takes to get 2 items and boots. Past that, what you want to do is move on towards some form of defense. So let's say they have a Fed RE. The RE also roamed and now she's 7-2. Or they have a Malphite top that's 2-0. They have more magic damage than AP. You can definitely consider going for a Banshees because it is very strong now. It gives you 120 AP and 50 MR. You don't have to farm up anything to make it useful. It's just a very strong item now. You can definitely go for that. Or if you're not worried about their magic damage, you can also go for Zhonya's, because this item is still amazing on Akali, but with all of the potential good new items, Shadow Flame is amazing on Akali now, Storm Surge is amazing on Akali now. It is a bit more about going in at the right time and one-shotting them with your AP items than it is about having the Zhonya's to play defensively or provide pressure in a fight and, like, you know, ulting into a team fight and using Zhonya's. It's not about that anymore. But you still want to get Zhonya's for the later game, because if you don't have any defensibility, like survivability, if you jump into, like, let's be realistic, sometimes you'll ult in and then you'll get stunned and there's 3 people there. Zhonya's is very important to survive that. Sometimes it's just needed. So this is a pretty standard, and I would say if you built this every single game on Akali, you'd be doing better than 90% of players. Truly. Past that, let's say that they don't have, say you're doing well, you're like you're 6-0, you're whatever, you're doing good, you got good farm, etc. And they don't have any tanks that are really building too much MR. Well, now you would want to turn your Dark Seal that you have into a Medjai's, or if you never got that, you would want to get a Rabadon's. Then past that, of course, you're going to want to get a Void Staff. You always want to get a Void Staff. It is incredibly important. 40% Magic Pen is huge late game. Even if they don't have MR items, they still have base MR that increases per level. So just remember that, and you will be golden. Because like right now, 40% of just an Akali's MR with no MR items, 42% reduced damage. You'd be doing, if you built this against me, you'd do 20% extra damage or something like that. I'm not sure on the math, but essentially always get Void Staff as your last item, if not your 5th item. One thing I need to mention as well, Dark Seal. Let's go back just a second and talk about it. If you start with a Doran's Ring or whatever, a shield, and you pop off, and then you go back and you have, let's just say you have 1,000 gold, you would want to go for like a Amp Tome, a Dark Seal, and or Boots or whatever. Your priority should be a Dark Seal. If you have 1100 gold and you don't know what to buy, you want to get a Dark Seal and an Amp Tome and Boots over getting an Alternator, because you have done the hardest part of Akali. Getting that first kill is the hardest part, because when you come back to lane and you have half a level in experience and 400 gold on them, you will kill them over and over again if you know what you're doing or even have half a clue. So start snowballing as hard as possible. There's a reason why Storm Surge is so good. It's literally, it says it on the name, under the name, snowballing. So that is my recommendation to you. Building Magi's as an upgrade is completely situational, but normally I wouldn't recommend doing it if they have more than one strong CC. That means if they have a Morgana and that's it, that's okay. But if they have a Morgana, a Malzahar, a Malphite, just don't bother. You're gonna die sometimes. It's just gonna happen. They will focus you because you will get 1,000 gold bounty, or however big a bounty, or if you get the stacks, they will have more incentive to focus you. And for that reason, you don't even want to give them the reason to focus you down. So that's that. Now, let's talk about the Conqueror build. Something that you'd be more likely to do top lane, but honestly, if they have like a Galio or a bunch of matchups like Pantheon mid, you would still want to go for a Conqueror build and go for that Bruiser build, so you're not getting one-tapped early on. So what I would recommend for this kind of build are a few different options. You can go based off of preference. You can go for a Rocket Belt. I personally am not the biggest fan of Rocket Belt right now, so I'll just tell you what I would build, but I do want to acknowledge that it is a very good item for Akali. I just don't like it personally, because I want to build my core that I enjoy playing Akali with. So here is what you would start with. Let's say you're going against a Galio. You would go for, honestly, well, Galio's probably Doran Shield. Doran's Ring can work too, but so you Doran Shield. Then you go back and you would want to pick up a Haunting Guise or the components. Essentially, we're going into Riftmaker first item. This is tanky, it's AP, and it's a lot of extra damage throughout a fight. So I like that a lot. Then Sork Boots is what I'm leaning towards. And then I would honestly just go straight into a Liandry's, depending on the enemy team comp. This could be bad if they are a bunch of squishy champions. Like if they have Kha'Zix jungle, they have Quinn top, they have no champions with like a lot of max health to get the usefulness out of this. But even then, I still love this core build of Riftmaker and Liandry's because of this. When you have Riftmaker, you need to be in combat for 5 seconds or however long. After 5 seconds, you gain this beautiful purple glow where you get bonus damage and you gain 10% Omnivamp. Well, when you use Liandry's and you burn them, you are constantly putting yourself in combat, which means that you have even more time to keep this up, because the worst thing would be to lose this halfway in a fight. Say they dash over a wall, you have more opportunity to keep your passive up and like keep it going, stack it up. Keeps Conquer up as well. Well, which can be definitely good. That does not keep Conquer up. So that is my logic towards that. And then past that, I mean, if you're doing well, obviously Dark Seal's good. If you're not, then that's okay. You can definitely go for a Zhonya's next. I think this is still an amazing item. No matter what build you have, Zhonya's is Akali's best item now. Truly, it is. I would almost go as far as to say you're griefing if you're playing in ranked without building it. I would make that claim, honestly. So on top of that, you would want to go for the Rabadons to juice yourself up a bit, make yourself do more damage, assuming they don't have any crazy forms of magic damage or anything like that. And if they had, you know, this is dependent on a balanced team comp where you're not worried about anything in particular. So past that, you go for Void Staff. this is a solid build for AP Bruiser Akali. You could go for Cosmic Drive if you're having issues sticking onto the enemy team. Say they're very slippery and you just want to have a little bit more movement speed. It can be good, but in general, I don't think it's worth it. So for that reason, I would say this is a good core build. Other items that you could build would include things like maybe replacing Zhonya's, no, not Zhonya's, maybe replacing a Rabadon's for the, where is it, the Banshees. I think even if they had good, even if they didn't have a lot of physical damage, I would still go Zhonya's. So that is that. On top of that, I don't think Crypt Bloom is ever going to be good on Akali. I'll be honest with you. It is less AP, 10 less AP, 10% less Magic Pen. And that heal is not what you're looking for on Akali. You are looking to kill people, not heal your team. That is the support's job. Let's be honest. So for that reason, yes, I wouldn't bother. Something else to note, Lichbane is something that I have seen people been building a lot more. I think it was a bit flavor of the month. People were tempted to build it because Storm Surge was really overpowered at the beginning. Storm Surge is still good on Akali, but Lichbane I don't think is worth it. It's the same as last season. You're just too squishy, and you're not really relying on auto attacks as much when you're going for Electrocute Akali. And then when you're going Bruiser Akali, well, there are other better items. Let's just leave it at that. Other than that, I also would go as far as to say I don't think Morellonomicon is good in any situation besides going against a Sylas mid or Fiora top. And even then, I would just get the Oblivion Orb and I would never upgrade the Morellos. I think that you are not trying to go into these extremely long fights against them where they heal multiple times. And in those times where you're trying to kill them, you would have Ignite or you'd have multiple people. So hopefully your support would be building anti-heal in a perfect world. So that is that. The only elixir you'd ever want to go is Blue Elixir. And in general, you don't want to build it unless there is a crucial fight. So say your team has 3 dragons and you want to win this soul fight. And like, yeah, you're like, okay, well, you know, let's say you're like 1,000 gold away from Void Staff. Well, you know what? Let's get an elixir, because if we win this fight, then we will get soul, and that is going to be more guaranteed to win than me getting a Void Staff 3 minutes faster, something like that. So that is that. Other than that, you've got AP heavy team comps, and let's just say if you're going into a bunch of AP champions, this is pretty much just how you win the game, and it's very funny. This is just all you do. And you would want to go for a Conqueror build that we talk about in the guide. Essentially, you'd start Dorans, and you would be going for Merc Treads. You wouldn't go for Sorks, you'd go Merc Treads. Conqueror build, I would probably go for just one AP item. Maybe I would go Lianges as well. But I would immediately go into Banshees, and then I would get even more MR. I would be going into, I'd honestly look into so many different options. There's really none that are bad. I think Kanik, whatever the heck this name is called, Kanik Rook. Yeah, okay. This item is also great. HP MR, and gives you a magic shield. That is huge. And then I would go for a Maw. Maw is amazing on Akali because quite literally all of your abilities scale with AD. So even though it's an AD item, it's still super useful. Super useful. And then if you have this build, you will never take damage against AP champions. So like they would just be so screwed. They literally, you would just be able to 1v5 them because they just don't do damage against you. And then if you really wanted to, like, you don't need Liandries, honestly. You could even keep going more MR heavy and just go for Hollow Radiance. I think that this item is so OP. I would probably get that over Kanik if you wanted to have Liandries. And let's just say a build like this will literally be unstoppable 1v5 mode versus 5 mages. So that's good. Now, finally, for the AD champion, the AD heavy team comps where they're just all AD for some reason, this is what you would do. I mean, depending on the matchup, you'd go Doran's Ring or Shield. Oops, let's go ahead and just sell all these. So let's just say you're going against a Zed, and then they have a Quinn top, they have a Yasuo Nautilus bot, and they have a Lee Sin jungle. That's all AD. We don't count the support. So, I mean, I would go Doran's Ring because I enjoy the matchups where you can kill each other. I'm not worried about that. You could be even cheesier, by the way. If you went Cloth Armor as your start and 4 potions, you literally couldn't. You'll be cheating at that point. But I think you'll be less likely to snowball as well. So let's just keep it simple. Doran's Ring. Past that, you would move on to getting a one AP item, which would obviously be the Riftmaker. But throughout that time, you'd be wanting to get your plated steel caps first. Then you get Zonia's, and then at some point you'd be selling your ring. No rush on that. Then there are so many options. Unending Despair is amazing. Iceborne Gauntlet is amazing. It gives you armor and it gives you a slow on your auto. Personally, I like this item because I think it's way more fun and it's a bit more aggressive. But on top of that, you can go for a Thorn Mail, you go for a Sunfire. But personally, I think I would just go for a Deadman's and Iceborne. Deadman's is going to help you catch up to people. Iceborne is going to keep you nice and give you a lot of utility off of the slow. And then past that, I mean, you could go for a Thornmail as the last item. You could even go for something like an Anathemas. Yeah, let's just say the options are quite literally endless, but I think Unending Despair is the move. I would say this build versus 5 AD champions or a full AD team comp is literally unkillable. 76% reduced damage, and not only that, but you have utility, you have all this damage off of your Unending Despair. Conquer is healing you. Not only that, but yeah, you have all these different forms of damage going off. You have Omni Vamp, Riftmaker healing you. So OP. You build this versus an all AD team comp, you're going God mode, let's be honest. And then with that, I would still get a Blue Elixir. I would never go any other Elixir. Blue Elixir's way too good on Akali. So that should be it for items. Other than that, really quickly, things that you might want to build that I would not build. Look, I have posted very fun AD one-shot Akali builds. They are so fun. Do it in normal games. Don't do it in ranked. It's not actually good. Or sorry, it's not as good. It can be good if you're good at Akali and you pop off, but you're not an AD carry. So don't do that in ranked, okay? Just leave it for normals and have fun with it. Because I don't want people leaving comments saying, you know, Professor Akali, you made this Akali main, go play AD one-shot Akali in my game. Okay, so past that, Thornmail, I mean, we talked about all these items, so what really could we even discuss? I mean, Nashor's Tooth, don't ever build it. That's trolling. Cosmic Drive, in certain situations where you want more movement speed and an AP Bruiser build. I personally don't like it, but I will not give it the red light if you want to. Other than that, let's see what we have. I can't... Ooh, Hullbreaker. I love this item, but it's not good on Akali now, unfortunately. I hate to say it. I used to build it quite often last season, even though no one else did. Don't build it. Just don't. Stridebreaker. Don't build it. It's trolling. It's fun. It's trolling. Same with Triforce. Don't build it. It's trolling. It's not good. Heartsteel. It's not it. You're not playing Scion. Go play Scion if you want Heartsteel. Trust me. Trust me. Trust me. These are all for ranked recommendations, by the way. You can literally build whatever you want, whenever you want. And like honestly, if you want to do it in ranked, like literally go for it. Like it doesn't bother me. But I'm just saying if you want to have the highest win rate, since you're watching you're literally watching a Akali guide. Other than that, I mean, that's essentially it. Everything else I've either talked about, or if I'm not mentioning it, I just wouldn't build it. I guess GA is one thing that could be good as a one-time usage if you're going late into a game and you want, you know, say, I guess like this situation, like say you've built full tank and like maybe you want to sell Iceborne just for a GA usage, and then you die at Baron and the game doesn't end, and like, okay, well, that's the cooldown's now gone, so I'll get another Iceborne. And that's pretty much it for items. So yeah, let's move on to the next part of the guide. Alrighty guys, and now I'm going to be showing you all of the combos and mechanics for this beautiful champion Akali. We're going to be going in terms of easiest to hardest, starting from level 1, we'll work our way up just to keep it nice and simple. So let's talk about level 1. Usually you'll be going against a ranged champion, but the same thing applies to melee. If they go in to auto attack or last hit a minion, usually all you can really do is hit a long range Q. Obviously that was like the perfect spot to get like the pass or whatever, but you don't need to do that. You can literally just run up a little bit more to make sure you don't miss it. Because as they're locking themselves into an auto attack, you can hit them with the Q. Pretty much nothing bad happens. You don't draw turret, you don't draw minion aggro, and if they auto you back, they'll take like honestly 50 plus damage from minions. So that's level 1. After that, you are almost always going to be wanting to go W level 2. In fact, if you're a beginner, I wouldn't even think about it. Just always go W level 2. What you want to do at this point is wait for them to use an ability. Say it's a Z right there using a Q on a minion. Well, then you want to run up to Z and hit him with a Q, and then hit him with the auto Q and just keep on wailing on him until you think that the trade isn't worth it anymore. The goal is to always do more damage than you receive. Take a good trade, as they say. After this, it is a bit more situational. If you're in a matchup where you are getting destroyed, if it's a Nico, a Syndra, a Kled or Pantheon that know what they're doing, then obviously you just want to go, well, it's not obvious. You'd want to go for a second point in Q. It's going to give you more reliable wave clear with the guaranteed AoE damage, and it is going to overall just be more useful for trading back, even if you can't do too much. However, in most situations, I would recommend going for E at level 3, because if you have your E, when there's a Scuttle Crab fight at whatever, everyone's level 3, there's a Scuttle Crab fight, you're honestly twice as strong because you get 2 extra passive procs, you get so much single target damage. So as a default, if you have to think one thing, just take E at level 3 all the time. That's all I'd think about for beginners. And then past that, level 4, you would be putting another point in your queue. Level 5, you'd put a third point in your queue. And at this point, what you would want to do is start working some magic to make sure that the enemy is not under the turret, under their turret. You want to let the minions push. Say you're going against a Syndra. You don't want to be queuing the minion wave. You want to just like sit there and auto last hit for a little bit until their wave crashes and builds up right outside of your turret. You want to now take trades against them. So say you're going into Syndra right here. You want to go in for this trade. Well, maybe she's going to hit you back for like 50%. You're both 50% now, which is like, you know, not the end of the world. But so now you're both like a bit low. Well, what you want to do is keep a close eye on your on your EXP bar. As you hit level 6, you want to go ahead and learn your ultimate and just ult them immediately. You don't even want to think about it. So let's just say I just hit level 6. I'm going to go ahead and go in for a clean combo. This is actually going to be the most important combo now that I'm going to be showing you for Akali, period. We're going to be talking about her bread and butter engage combo. This is Akali's R plus E. So if you use your max range R1, your ultimate, the first part of it, and then you put your mouse cursor behind where you'll land, and then press E, it will guaranteed land your E1 on the enemy. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to use our E. So that'll just be the first part, and we'll let this all reset. After that, there's a few ways to go about it. You can also actually do it this way too, where you would go ahead and use your E in the direction of them, so you'd like fly in then fly out. But against target dummies, it's a bit strange. So we're going to talk about the most important bread and butter combo. Here's what you want to do the most possible damage at level 6. You're going to R1 plus E1, and then you're going to go ahead and auto Q, and you're going to back up, and then you're going to auto Q again, and then E R2. It is so many buttons at once that I can't really explain it while I can't commentate in real time, so we're just going to do it really quick. And something like that will give you the most possible damage, giving you the most execution. Obviously, they're likely to fly away. And what you can do if they're under the turret, you'll have to adjust accordingly. And we'll be going over all of that throughout the guide. So, yeah, what you can do as well, even though they're under the turret, you can actually, like, let's just say they're there. You can actually avoid taking a lot of turret damage. Like, you can go ahead and R plus E. You can wait a second for your R2 to come back up, and then hit him with a big combo as well. You don't need to just sit there in the turret taking a bunch of tower shots. You can actually avoid multiple tower shots just by dashing in and out of the turret. So that is going to be early on. That is the beginner. Let's move on to, like, I guess, intermediate. This will always be the most crucial Akali combos and mechanics guide, especially for advanced combos and mechanics. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this blast from a few years ago. And now for all your mechanics and basic combos and whatnot, we're going to be watching Akali rework Tricks You Didn't Know by Humti, and I'm going to leave a link to his channel. You guys should check him out for all your champion needs. We're going to go over this video and talk about it, since I did a very similar video last season, and only a few things have changed. So this video is incredibly informative. So we're going to start off with the Q. We're going to talk about everything. So you can Q flash, that's obvious, but it ends up progressing. You can Q and then flash to change the direction. And this is something that a lot of people don't know, is that if you Q sideways, it's actually a longer hitbox, which it doesn't make sense, but it is. It is possible to get an instant passive proc with your Q. And the thing about that is that it's very difficult and unreliable. It's only do it from one side. I don't recommend ever going for it. I think if you miss your Q, it'll really slow down your combo. Whereas if you were to just run up a little bit closer and make sure you hit it, you can just back out, get your passive, and then fly back in really fast. So much better, because once you hit your Q, they're slowed anyways, so you can catch up to them. If you use your Q flash, Q's a little shorter than normal. That is true. It's very weird. Normally you can't use Q during E, so you can't use it anymore. This used to be a mechanic, but you can no longer Q during your E2 while you're flying with your E. But there are a few ways to do it. So if you cancel any dash with E2, so you can do that by using your R1 and then canceling the first part of your ult by using your E2. This is so impractical though that I wouldn't really take too much notice into this. It's just the odds of you ever getting this off. This is a very expert level. There's multiple ways to do this, but and like you're never gonna build Prowler's Claw, so this is kind of just fun. But nonetheless, it is possible, and you can also do it after a few seconds in E2 dash. So if you're ever top lane against a Shen who ults bot lane and you connect your E, after about 3 or 4 seconds, you can actually use your Q in the middle of your E2, which is kind of crazy. You can use your Shroud in the middle of your E2. It gives you energy whenever you cast it. You can flash just after auto. Yep. You can actually auto attack, get your auto off, and then flash out of the circle, proccing it instantly. Once again, I highly recommend never going for that because it is incredibly troll. You're going to end up wasting your ult a lot, or wasting your flash a lot. But yes, you can cancel part of your E1 with your R1. And this can be good if you're in a brush. Let's just say in this brush right here, in the bottom left, if someone's running up to you and you're in this brush, you can actually throw your E out, making you fly backwards, but then you can also ult on top of them, and then you're just on top of them with your R1 damage, your E1 is attached to them, and then you can start going to town on them. Yep, and you can add a Q to the combo afterwards. And this is definitely worth learning, but also inconsistent And if you don't have low ping, it's kind of a little bit difficult, but definitely worth practicing in practice tool. And that is a little bug that I don't know will exist for very long, but it's Riot Games, so I've seen bugs last for literally 6 years straight. They ended up reworking Mordekaiser because they were too lazy to fix the bugs. But yeah, so you can cancel your E with your R2. And really no practicality on that combo, but you can do it. And there you can get a double Q off, which is an interesting glitch. But the thing is, this is pretty unreliable, and this is more advanced to say the least. Flash during E for faster damage. This is kind of an interesting one because it can be useful in a situation where you are actually being in a situation where this is a Lux, or this is an Ahri that's charming you, or Lux is throwing her snare at you. They throw the Q out. You don't actually have to flash sideways and cancel your E. You flash right into them and burst them and one-shot them. Combine that with R1 for a quick in and out combo. Yep. So you can actually flash right behind them. And obviously you do that. You can flash right behind them, connect your E, and then you hit your R1 because your ult will go in the opposite direction, or in the direction of the enemy. So if you flash behind them, obviously you end up ulting backwards. So that is very useful in certain situations. Can be useful. This is kind of the whole point of how crazy Akali is and why this guy should be helpful. You can change the starting position of the shuriken. Yep. So we're gonna end up, yep, in case there's ever someone in the way and you really want to try and snipe them, but it's very inconsistent and your flash is a very, very high cooldown, so I don't recommend doing it. Yes, Akali, this is a very important one. So Akali does a little backflip before throwing E1 shuriken, so whenever you're trying to clear a wave, you actually want to get to the other side of the cannon minion and then use your E the backwards, and you'll end up flying. You'll end up flying and then like behind the minion and then throwing it out towards them. So that is incredibly useful to know because it can save you a second or two. Yep, this allows you to hit enemies behind you, and that's very useful. The backflip looks small, but it's actually pretty sizable though. Yep, and you can jump over long walls. These are all very important walls to learn. It has saved me countless times. It's gotten me kills countless times. You can cancel your E2 with your ult, with Rocket Belt, with I think you can do it with Flash. You can do it with Flash. You can do it teleport. But just a bunch of different ways. If you're ever like, this is kind of like for fun. But if you're ever in a situation where you do just change your mind, you have options to get out of it. And this is very important as well. The golden E, with how strong Akali's E2 is, you can actually one-shot people and they can't do anything back. If you're low HP, you can definitely use the golden E. We call it the golden E because you go into Zonia's, you're golden, and then you fly in and hit them with a big nuke. Alright, you can buffer Q during E2 and cancel with R1. So that's just another incredibly advanced mechanic that is very, very, very difficult to pull off. And I don't see any top Akali players in Korea, China, anywhere using this because it's so inconsistent. I think it's better to not really think about this kind of stuff and just focus on landing your Qs and synchronizing all of your passive procs and Qs and whatnot properly. But it is a really cool combo, and if you're feeling aggressive, you can definitely try. And yeah, as this says, usually you'll cancel the E2 damage, which will do more than 2 Qs. But with precise time, you can deal E2 damage as well. It's not gonna happen. Let's just put it that way. Alright, so that's that. Now we can combine it with the double Q. And yeah, that's a thing for sure. So yeah, you can buffer out your Q in the middle of your E2. Alright, moving on. All these combos also work with R2. So yeah, these are mostly just canceling E2 damage. Okay, so we're going to leave this here because these are actually pretty crazy combos. But the thing is, they're honestly easy combo example with this trick. It's not really... Yeah, so you can actually buffer in your Q during your E2. And then, yeah, there's lots of really fun stuff. R1 flash, you can flash your R1 and your R2. And there is slight usage for this because you can extend your R2 damage. You can cancel R1 animation with E1. Yep, this is the ultimate engage combo. If there's ever anything to check with this, R1 plus E1 is your level 6 bread and butter kill combo. It's your bread and butter kill combo engage at all times because you connect your E guaranteed. And a little bit of practice and practice tool will get you sorted out. And you can do it both ways. Yep, you can do it that way just by having your cursor towards them. And that, kind of impractical, but definitely doable. A lot of these combos do pair up with flash, but they're very... It's just not good usage of flash when you can flash engage on an AD carry late game. I'd rather do that than do some kind of weird combo. You can use your R1 to jump over walls. If you're mid lane, specifically, it's really useful in laning phase. If you're in the river brush and you're shrouded, you can just get a good angle on the enemy and then ult over the wall. E-mark will make a small part of W stay a little bit longer until your E2 disappears. Yep, you can still hide inside of it because it can't disappear yet. W shroud will spread towards the enemies. That is true, so you gotta be careful of where you do it. But you can also teleport in your shroud because of that. And yes, your shroud does go towards the enemies, no matter what, or the closest enemy. You'll be invisible even in stasis, yep. So you can shroud, use your Q, and then instantly Zonias, and then you'll be invisible and safely. And yeah, you can W in a wall and actually jump over the wall. But this is, once again, I highly recommend doing this. This one can have a little bit of practicality, but you won't have your shroud or your E when you gank bot lane doing that. And I'd rather just take 2 turret shots and have those abilities, like always. And yes, you can cancel Lee Sin's ultimate. You can cancel a few different things by using shroud right when they're casting it, because it takes time for them to cast it. You can use your W and E2. Kind of impractical because you'd rather use W first and then E. So yeah, those are mechanics, and let's move on. Alrighty guys, and now we're going to be going into a clip from a game that recently happened where I'm testing the limits, I guess you could say, of the Akali versus Veigar matchup. You can see that I have almost no HP, and Veigar does have ult up, I will say. However, I know the range of Veigar's ult. I know that he does not have flash, so I can stay just outside of the range of the ultimate. And when my shroud and my E are about to come back up, I know that Veigar's ult is going to do about 250 damage. So I'm actually waiting to see if Veigar will waste Q. He does indeed waste the Q. And now I'm going to immediately open up with the ult Q. And I'm going to shroud for a burst of movement speed and get to the side. Actually, a bit more damage than I thought I'd take. You can see right there, I go into shroud and I'm very low. But I have Q, R2, and Electrocute ready to go with the help of Ignite, and we actually shotgun him in the face. This was a case of comboing as quickly as possible and using Shroud when we need to. So you can see that it's about to come back up. We're staying just in range, just out of range. And then the second we have a chance, we see he's going to use Q. All right, this is our go sign. A Q to the face and then an ult, I'm dead. But we're going to go ahead and R, Q, and then Shroud, and then book it to the side so we can't get hit by a W. And then passive proc Q R2, ignite all at the same exact time. We call that the beautiful, beautiful shotgun right to the face. One more time for good measure. Boom, they're dead. On to the next clip. All right, and now there's some context to this game. We're actually going against a Yasuo that is incredibly fed. I died a few times and my jungler fed Yasuo, so I'm 0-2 and Yasuo is 3-0. So what happens here is I'm about to hit 6. I know that Yasuo has roamed over to the Void Grubs, and I want to get an opportunity to kill him the second I hit 6, since I think he was a little bit low. But I just hit 6, and what happens is I actually just missed the timing on him because he has tier 2 boots. Since he has 3 kills, he actually is able to run away, and I don't want to commit my Shroud to getting a little bit extra movement speed without Ignite up or my E up, because then he'll just kill me. So this is what happens and why we were able to get a lead back. You can see that we ult him the second we can, and we're going to actually get in range of our passive. We're going to auto Q, so now we have another passive available. We're going to go ahead and get in range of that, and then we are going to passive proc again, then R2 Q backwards. And doing that means that if he did have a wind wall available, he'd likely be doing it in front of him where he thinks we're going to be, which is why I hold my R2 until after we shoot, after we land behind him. And then we were able to E on a turret range and barely live with enough HP. And then we go on to win the game, being like 25-3 or 25-4. Honestly, I think most players would have quit after the second death or just given up. But knowing Akali's level 6 strength, you don't need to give up. You really don't. She is that OP. You can kill a 3-0 Yasuo with like 2 levels on you. I mean, come on, let's be real. What other champion can do that? So now I'd like to go over a quick game that I won just recently against a Victor, where I only had to make a few good decisions to inevitably win. So it starts off with us trading against each other. I shoved the wave, and now we're looking to head back. You can see right here that he tries to stop my recall. So what I do here is I go in for a play knowing that Victor doesn't have flash. What I do is I flash QE. This is something you can do to guarantee that you land your E, because what happens is it slows the enemy. When you land your Q, obviously, then your E is, you're close to them. They're not going to be able to move to the side fast enough because now they're slow. So that lands, and I instantly take it. Obviously, after that, there's only a few things we can naturally do. We hit the passive proc, and we ignite, and we start running away. The millisecond my Shroud comes up, I'm using it to execute the Victor on the way out. And I knew that if I got the kill, I would ding, and that is enough HP to keep us alive. I think we would have been fine either way, but that 100% secured that kill. Then we will go ahead and fast forward a little bit, and all we really had to do was keep it going. We hit level 6, we shoved in the wave, and unfortunately, sometimes you just have to look at it in a practical way. We don't want to fight, but honestly, if it's a level 5 Vi who just used her Q, we're going to go ahead and hit her with the ult plus E combo and pick up a free one, and then fly away from where Victor could be roaming to. And then, we probably gank bot lane and pick up a few kills. Nothing too... I guess we could quickly go over this. I'm not sure if I played this perfectly. So, as you can see here, I'm getting engaged on by Renekton. And I don't have my ult up, so I have to play this very slow. Because if I get hit by Renekton W or Leona Q or E, I'm going to die. Or I'll lose half my health, and then I can't really engage anymore. So what I do there is I engage on the first person that I can. So I hit the R plus E combo on Leona, and now I'm closer to the Vi. And I know that Caitlyn's going to finish off the Vi, so I can just go ahead and fly back on to the Leona and execute her as well. You could have Q R2'd instead of R2Q, but when you have 3 other teammates around, it doesn't really matter too much. So that is going to be pretty free right there. And then we're going to go ahead and fast forward a little bit. We are now, you can see we're going against Victor, looking for an opportunity to ult him. And we're literally just looking to R plus E combo if he ever steps forward. But my wave is pushing. He steps up to Q, or to clear the wave. So I'm going to hit him with the R plus E combo. This time I want to fly back out of his turret. But inevitably, I mean, we just hit him with all the burst. And we use our R2 out since he is squishy. And we are snowballing already. So we don't have to die because we have enough damage to not sit under his turret trying to kill him. So that is essentially, I mean, it's standard once you play Akali, but if you don't get it, all we're doing is we're looking to hit him with the R plus E combo whenever he steps up. Keep in mind, this is like around like Platinum Emerald. So the fact is, like, they will step up and give you an opportunity. And I know that, yeah, my E2, my passive proc, that stuff is enough. I don't need to commit my R2. Ignite will finish him off, and there it is. And then we just farm. Nothing crazy. We're literally just farming. And then what happens here? Our ult is about to come back up. And eventually we look to see if the plant is up. This is your best friend when you're taking damage. You want to be healthy for all reasons, to dive, to not die, etc., etc. And then our ult is now back up, so we're going to zoom in just a little bit. Scroll for a little bit. And you can see that our ult's back up, and it's go time. He's away from his turret. We have plenty of room. We're going to use our Shroud as well, just get a movement speed boost. And then we're going to R plus E him. And then E2 lands instant range to passive proc. Then we Q R2. And we did have Storm Surge on him. It would have blown him up either way, but might as well passive proc just to make sure nothing happens, like a Soraka ult or whatever. It doesn't change anything for us. So that is eventually going to lead into, you know, it just leads into an inevitable surrender off of them in just a few minutes. And the thing is, all I'm doing throughout this game is playing off of opportunities for me, not him. Like, he wins the first few levels, well, guess what? I'm staying back. I'm not giving him an opportunity. You can see my positioning is I'm just respecting the fact that he will probably poke me and beat me in these first few levels. If I can snipe him with an E, you best believe I'll take it, but that's probably not going to happen. So then we end up just farming, and then we look for a roam when we can. And yeah, that is another good clip. So now it's time to talk about Akali's early, mid, and late game. It's honestly so much simpler than you'd think. The biggest thing is mastering all your mechanics and combos, and then just applying it with a little bit of knowledge, I suppose. So in the early game, usually you won't be too strong until level 6. There are matchups you can win. You can win against EKKO, you can win against Yasuo, Yone, Zed, FIZZ, lots of melee fistfight matchups you can win. I would encourage you to play aggressive in them, learn your limits, etc. You can watch the champion matchups guide whenever you load into a game in the description. It'll be at the end of the video as well. But in general, you're not going to be too strong until 6. You want to use your abilities to farm safely, maybe use your Shroud to avoid taking too much damage. And if you find a good 2v2 for a Scuttle Crab or something like that, an early roam, if you land your Q slow, you can land your E, and then you'll actually be a really strong early game champion for those 2v2 skirmishes. Past that, you're usually going to be waiting until level 6, which is your, I guess you could say, mid game, to try and get your first kill. This all starts with a bit of wave control, trying to make sure that your wave is under your turret just about without getting attacked by your turret. You want to have as much room as possible to hit level 6, ult the enemy, and then have room to combo them out while they run away to their tower, because obviously when Akali ults on you, it's trouble. So if that happens and you can get a kill, well, you're in a great spot. If not, then you can deny the enemy minions because they're afraid of you ulting just by having good wave clear and just existing as a level 6 Akali. Past that, moving on into the, I guess, the middle of the mid game, the biggest thing that Akali mains tend to say to me is, you know, I did really well in lane and I couldn't carry. What could I do differently? And it's just a few small decisions that aren't being made. If you can't kill the enemy laner, say you're going against a Lux, a Victor, champions that just, maybe Ziggs, champions that can just farm from a very safe distance, and it's almost impossible to kill them unless you had a jungler gank and maybe your jungler's not there or he doesn't have much CC. Well, if you don't have a jungler that can force really aggressive dives or ganks, what you can do is actually shove the lane, then look to roam bot. Shove the lane, look to gank top. Shove the lane, look for the enemy jungler in their jungle, or you can ping your jungle, ping your team to start a Baron or a mini Krugs or a Rift Herald fight. All these different objectives that force the enemies out of their turrets so that you can really press Akali's OP mid-game power. She is one of the best mid-game champions in the entire game. This is when she's the strongest. So you want to get every objective, or you want to force the enemy team to fight you for every objective. And the biggest thing you don't want to do, if you can help it, is fight without your ultimate. If you have a decision to force something without ultimate, or just shove the wave and go get an item, I would probably recommend to take every fight with your ultimate unless it's 100% guaranteed. If the enemy jungler can show up, or you can get teleported on by the enemy top laner while you don't have ult, those are the types of fights that'll end up throwing the game. So just try to make everything to your advantage or guaranteed. So hopefully you have used the mechanics I've taught you, the combos, the strategy to get a few kills. And, you know, maybe at this point, as you're going into the late game, you've got 2 or 3 dragons, you've got all the objectives, or you've got 15 kills because they just keep fighting you. Past this point, you want to be either doing one of 2 things. You want to either be split pushing with the ability to tower dive any champion that tries to stop you. So if you're strong enough, you can really quite literally dive anyone. You'll have Zhonya's as your 3rd or 4th item, so you can also negate out the last few tower shots. And in general, you provide so much pressure in the side lanes as Akali. You don't do a lot of damage to turrets, but no one can contest you if you play it right, and depending on the team comp, of course. Other than that, you can definitely look for several different forms of engage on squishy enemy champions. Whether you be having the Conquer AP Bruiser build, you can just ult over tanks, ult over the enemy support, and get into that backline because you have enough health to not get one shot if you get CC'd. Or you can be looking to get a major flank using pink wards, sweepers, get behind the enemy team using Fog of War, and going in for a nice flank on the enemy carry. The R plus E combo late game against a carry is going to win you the game outright. Another thing you can do if you're going electrocute, or even just any form of Akali that's doing well, that's got some kills, is to have your team do Baron, have all the map control, the vision control over it, and then go into a brush between Baron and the enemy team's base. And when they inevitably go to check it, you can just go ahead and pick up free kills right there. And your role as a late game champion is to either assassinate or disrupt. Disrupting is when you jump into the enemy team with your ult, your E, whatever, use your shroud, and now you're invisible and they have to be worried about you for many seconds. Then you jump in and use your Zhonya's, and you just cause so much pressure in these team fights that it quite literally overwhelms them. And then meanwhile, you have 4 other teammates that are just destroying them. And yeah, that is pretty much how you play Akali in a nutshell from early to late game. Alrighty guys, we're now going to be going into an educational commentary against a Lux. This is a matchup in which you're going to be expected to play against all the time in the mid lane, but we're going to be doing a top lane educational gameplay as well. First thing you want to talk about is what to build as your starting item and how to play. So the runes we have are right here. The important thing to mention is Second Wind and Dorn Shield. These are going to be your best friends for avoiding getting poked out by Lux, Syndra, any type of champion that has poke. You just don't want to have to deal with it if you don't need to. So we're going to be just staying nice and back. And when she inevitably throws spells at us, we'll be in a decent position to just heal off of it. At least a little bit. That was a bit of a weird lag spike. We're going to go for the minions. But yeah, essentially, your only like real goal for the first few levels is to just get as much farm as possible. If you get hit by abilities, well, at least make sure you're getting some minions out of it, and then it's fine. Not using a potion just yet. Don't really need to. And now we have 3, so we can actually... tried to land that. But we're going to still run in. Max range Q for the slow. Max range Q. And that's just a kill. Amazing. So, the beautiful thing about playing a champion like Akali against a mid laner, you're not going to be pushing, but if they push, if they poke too hard, if they spend too much of their mana and ability times trying to poke you out, not only will they be down in CS, but they will also end up pushing the wave, and any jungler can take advantage of it. And if you're a good Akali and you can land that E that we missed earlier, well, you're going to take out half their health. And yeah, it's just a good time overall. So let's drop this. We're going to E backwards and then press W. All right, so we're now going to run back into the lane. 21-5. So far, it's so good. And now, let's just go ahead and just run back to the mid lane. We are looking to get a few different options in our build. You can go for Rocket Belt, you can go for Storm... Ugh, missed that again. I just figured we might go for a quick snipe. You can go for Rocket Belt, you can go for Storm Surge, you can go for Shadow Flame Rush. All have usefulness, and yeah, not much to roam to if Darius is far away and Briar's on the area. So we're just going to go ahead and keep it right there. So what I want to do is try to keep the wave right outside of turret. It's a few minions to tank, and we don't want to tank it for too long, but it is worth it to do this because now she is going to be overextended for a bit longer. And just going to hit one passive proc. Now this should be a kill. Stunned. We're going to use E during that. And then wait it out. And that is going to be another kill for us just by being patient, waiting. Oh, this is actually something else. We waited until Briar hit the stun to hit our E. Because if we miss our E, well, we're flying in the wrong direction. We're missing the damage. It's going to be really hard to get the kill. And we want to get the kill. We want to not mess up the kill. Like, what if Briar is not able to finish it off, right? Like, then that's our fault. The kill went away, got away. So, right now, I'm actually going to be going for a Rocket Belt, I believe. This is a specific situation. I'm not the biggest fan of getting Rocket Belt too much anymore, but because we're going into Lux, having that dash off of my Rocket Belt will not only help us get closer to her to hit her with the ult, like dash closer to her, but it'll also help us have a dash to be able to dodge her Q. Say she's throwing a Q at us, well, we can just Rocket Belt to the side and then ult her or whatever we want to do. So it gives us a lot of opportunity. I'm going to E backwards and then... There we go. Had the passive Q, and then the next Q will just proc Electrocute as well. And that's good. So we want to wait for our E to come back up. We're going for an R plus E combo. Okay. I do want to Q some of these to thin the wave out. We do have plenty. We don't need all these extra minions. We have 2 melees and a cannon that can do this for us. Wave is going to be... It's good enough right there, so it'll meet... Gonna wait it out. And right there, I'm max range queuing into the R2 because I don't want to fly too far forward, and I just want to get the damage off from a safe spot. I don't want to fly towards them, towards the turret, etc. It's not about the All right, so let's go ahead and continue on. Just gonna press auto. Okay. All right, double E onto the cannon, and then we are going to Q and run right back. I should be warding, I'm not, but honestly, at this point, if Lux gets close, we'll just run away. If Brand shows up, we'll run away the opposite direction. We're really not in too much of a risk of dying. And now here's something I actually want to talk about since we're 10 gold off. We're going to start running out, and then we're going to press W, press E, and then we're going to get the buy off, and then fly back. Obviously, you can tell I threw my Shroud out and my E, knowing I could fly to my Shroud. Then I got in range of the shop, bought it quickly, and then flew right back to mid lane. So far, so good. Now I want to notice that Lux doesn't have Q. She didn't have E, but now she doesn't have Q. And I shouldn't have actually pressed Q there. But we'll have a mini freeze for now. Just a little bit of time, but it's better than nothing. It really is. And we're going to go for an ult. Onto this Briar as we can. Ouch. Okay, we're waiting for Lux's next appearance in the mid lane. Not gonna happen there, but that's okay. I want her to use Q.
Better bring it.
Gonna drop a ward in the lane just so we can see if she ever rotates. See what she's up to. It's always good to have that vision when you're looking to kill the enemy. Dragon is... That should be good. Right there, I set my Shroud and E'd because I knew that my R2, Ignite, and passive proc damage would be enough to finish Lux off, even if she used her barrier. So that was pretty simple. I just wanted to give myself an escape. And I didn't need to use my W, and I didn't need to use my E to kill Lux, so there you go. That's an escape. We don't have to worry about dying now. Don't have to worry about getting stunned under turret by Bard, anything like that. It's all just simple. All right. So now we get that way pushed in and we go back. Good CS. Good kills. Easy game, easy life. All right, let's go ahead and grab this now. We have Dark Seal still stacking up. We haven't forgot about it. It's just not what we don't want to stack. We don't want to buy Magi's yet. We probably want to get a Rocket Belt and then a Zhonya's at least, just to guarantee that, you know, half of our gold isn't going to be gone if we die. All right. Let's see. All right. Very cool. Let's go ahead and fly right in here. I am on my way. I really thought I could get that, honestly. This is good. Well, this could be good too. That's a triple. That's not it. We're leaving. We don't have the health. We don't have the health. I have a bounty now. It's not worth a potential 1v1. If Ezreal has some summoners, we're just good. We're good. We're good. Let's get out of here. Well, we were able to pick up a few kills. Luckily, they don't have much damage yet. Lux is behind. And, yeah, we kind of just know how much damage they do, and it wasn't enough to kill us, so. Unfortunately, we might lose that plate, but at this point, I need to go back. I'm a bit low. Don't want to overstay and hit the grave, you know? That would not be good. You get a pink ward, though. All right, good, good, good. So, can use our Shroud movement speed. We can use our Rocket Belt to get to lane faster. Because as it stands, this wave is going to be crashed, and we want to get there. And let's be real, Lux isn't going to be under the turret for us to even kill her. By the time we have a chance to kill her, all of our stuff will be back. And that, using those abilities, helped us get like 2 extra CS there. Ooh, stole it. Okay, it's time to back up. We do not want to die. I'm going to drop a ward, though. Rocket Belt is now back up. Wow, that thing is still chasing him. How is he pulling it? Like, he's still killing it? What the heck? Nice. Alright, Q is down. Let's just... We can't just rocket belt, right? Just go in. Okay, that I didn't even expect to get hit by the Q. I didn't think it'd be up that fast. I'm gonna hope that I don't get hit by an Ezreal ult. It looks like we're okay. And we're good. Phew, that was scary. Let's get... I guess we'll just get the we'll just get one Ram Tome. Can't really get anything else. Fly back and we're good to go. So now at this point, that was really close, I will say. We had to ult out, back out of the turret. Didn't realize I was getting hit by that CC right there. What is going on in the chat? Anyways, let's go ahead and start clearing this wave out, and then we're gonna look to roam, probably. Dodge that E just because we can. And just like your R2, your Rocket Belt also has a backwards hitbox, which is fun. Just something to note. Shutdown is good. Can't really get too much probably, but we can definitely look for Brand in his jungle. This is something. If he's there, we can kill him easily. He's not there. But if he was, you never know. If he was, it's free. Unfortunately, he is taking that stuff over there. Ooh.
They can't stop me. I mean, they could try.
No bounty. I would die for it. I'm good. It's not worth it. I have 700 gold. I think I'd probably take one too many turret shots and die. Plus, he's actually like pretty tanky. I'll be heading back now. At this point, I think we are... I think we're good to get a Medjai's. Okay. Okay. So yeah, we have the Medjai's now. Bunch of bonus movement speed. This is definitely something you can do. In fact, it's fun when you get ahead. You've successfully snowballed. You've done everything right. Because now you get to go ahead and continue having to play well. So you want to keep the stacks up. You don't want to lose that 1,000 gold bounty, etc. Oh, okay. So the thing I could do right here is use that. Nope. I thought Lux would go up to try to last hit that cannon, and we were going to go in for a quick kill and fly out, but you know what? It didn't happen, but it's okay. Shield is up. I think we have to be a bit careful. Play it slow. We're happy to have jungle come. Not as happy as we would be killing, but it's better than nothing. Rocket Belt is available. He's certainly... Oh, Day's right there. Blue buff is going to help me out there. Shout out to Blue Buff. I summoned him as my jungle pet, and he killed the brand. No, I'm just kidding. Yo. That was awesome. That it finished him off. And now we're gonna get Seeker's Arm Guard. Ult is down. I want to secure my bounty. I want to get myself good situations. I'm not looking to take silly fights. I'm gonna just get my Seeker's Arm Guard. It's just like the old Zhonya's. It's just like Stopwatch. I have the stasis effect now. That guy's dead. There we go. Take as many minions as I can. Just on the way out, because why not? Alright, 10-0. So far, so good. Clean. Ezreal is not doing well anymore, which is nice. He was 2-0, but seems like we put a stop to his nonsense. And yeah, always using E on my... Ooh, nice. Always using E on the enemy champion. The enemy cannon. Over, like, the little ones. Okay. Okay, we want to break this shield really quick just because we can. We can kill him now. Yeah, we'll just take him out.
Like you had a chance.
I think we're gonna do an assassin tactic. We're gonna drop a ward right here and see if we can snipe Ezreal. Unfortunately, Briar's in the way, so Ezreal's not gonna be pathing mid. Oh my god, Briar is 2 HP, and so are we. Alright, good stuff. I'm gonna cry. Okay. That was very sloppy, I'll be honest with you. That was very, very sloppy on my end. My ult is coming back up. Oh, they're so low. This is so stupid. I might die, but I like pushing the limits, honestly. I really do. Alright, there we go. Oh, I guess we'll get 3. Very cool. Glad to test the limits sometimes, you know? Just gotta be glad to test the limits. Alright, let's get out of here. CS is looking good. The kills are, you know, they're pretty okay. Alright, let's get this. Let's get... I mean, at this point, I think we just go... I think we'll go Shadow Flame. I guess we don't need Storm Surge. We do get them to 30% pretty quickly, which is always a good sign. I think getting that passive Cinder Bloom to work even more often than normal is a huge and a really good sign. Same thing, you could say the same thing about Storm Surge though. Getting them, like doing the burst is a lot easier. But I think Shadow Flame is better for Akali. Just the stats are crazy. Flat, huge AP, huge magic pen, like. That's okay. We're gonna auto do all of them. This one, that's fine. Okay. Cool this out. I know they have a ward there, so can't take it out. I don't like when Volibear gets to take an entire top tower plus our inhib plus the bounty for free. That's really silly. Dodge this, that at least. Oops, I'm just trolling. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it was not perfect, but it'll do. Alright, 195 CS is good. Let's go ahead and... Alright. Let's run straight to bot lane. I'm always looking to continue gathering resources. I'm always looking, especially when my ult is down. I'm not looking to run right into mid and start this like fiesta fight where the one time we could lose is and loss. We would lose 2,000 gold, our 10 stacks, and 1,000 bounty. It's not it. Oops, that was my bad. Less than ideal. We get a stun on him. Nice, that'll do. That is ideal. I'll ping for my team to do Baron. I think they should do it. What? Okay, I guess they're not doing Baron anymore. Alright. But yeah, I will note that if you're interested in my Akali ranked content, you can always check out my rank series or my how to win guides, where it's just like a few hours of educational commentaries. There should be plenty on my channel. I like to do fun things a lot too, but I recognize that a lot of people like to see these kinds of things where you just like learn and all that. Wow, that hit? That's crazy. That stun. Okay. You know, my bad. That was my bad. The timing was... Oh, all right, well. Ooh, that noise. Yeah, okay, that was my bad. I really didn't think that I would get stunned mid-E, but he's faker, you know? Damn. Okay, but yeah, I know a lot of people like to see the Halo slash just like ranked educational content in general. I do like to have fun with the challenges, the builds, and stuff like that, so there'll always be both. But yeah, there's definitely be a ranked series with tons of good like Halo slash educational content on the channel. You can just look for that. Anyways, we're gonna press W, get back to lane with that boost of movement speed. The second home guards is over. We're also gonna use our E, and then Brand's not there anymore. Okay, we're good. Unfortunately, as we go bot, this guy's like, you know what? I see Akali's going bot. Why don't I just go bot too? There's no other lanes. And in that situation, I mean, there's not much you could do other than just like run. I guess just run over there. Okay. And now Jin goes. Okay. Yeah, I want to fight or I want to split, but they're very much, my team is just wasting my time.
I just speed things up.
Your team has
I'm trolling. Whew, panicked on that. Didn't think I had enough time. All right, let's get this game over with. Darius is now mid lane. Okay.
Don't hold back.
an ally has been slain.
And they're dead. It happens. I'm gonna try and take this turret while they fight. See if I can bunch these all up.
Skill and steel.
Oof! I wanted to get that plant before we finish it off, but that's okay. We'll be fine. We'll completely be fine here. Need my shroud to come up and I will 1v4 them. That's okay. Okay. It's time to kill him.
Never have too many.
Unfortunately, I didn't even check the zones. That was my bad. So the plan was to kill him with a golden E2 kick and ignite for the electrocute to proc. But unfortunately, he also had Zonias, so not really much we can do there at all. Okay.
The words on their tombstones will be my new mantras.
2. I'm gonna pray he does not have ult, because if he doesn't, I should be able to get out. We're okay. We have W in a second. Nice. All right, let's get out of here. Good stuff so far. Yeah, I think at this point we're just testing our limits, which I will say is actually
Magic's fine.
like when you can like learn how to snowball, you get ahead. Like say you're doing really well against the enemy mid laner, like that is a good angle to actually like start limit testing and have some good fun. Yeah, that'll be the first game, and let's go into a top lane conquer strategy, how to win with that type of build and strategy. Alrighty guys, and now we are going into top lane Akali. This is going to be a completely different experience from the mid lane. You're primarily going to be going against melee champions. You're going for conquer instead of electrocute, and we were going to be even building differently. So against melee champions, most of the time, I mean, you can literally just go in for a good trade, like little pokes right there. He's going to prompt grasp, but that's okay. We still won that trade ever so slightly. And now we don't want to just let him push us in too hard. So I do want to be making sure I attack. Ooh, did not hit the Q like I thought I would on him. And of course he has the range because I lock myself for a quarter second when I use Q. But that's okay. So I assume he goes Q second. Oh, there's W second. Not a bad trade for us, honestly. We're going to keep the wave at a good spot, which is right here. Let this minion do a little bit more work. We can auto it. And we are going to use a potion since he has, because I think this will make us ever so stronger, able to just destroy him in a 1v1.
If they're smart, they're scared.
Good poke so far. Hit the wrong target, darn it. Okay. There it is. I think I can actually kill.
I am my own master.
There it is. There it is right there. I have to be very careful. I might die to Warwick, but it'll just have to happen at this point because we gotta get the wave in. Right, he's not there, but if he is, we're in trouble. We should be okay. Alright, and he is not gonna be stopping my recall, I don't think. His E should be on like an 18-second cooldown at rank 1. So that's good. So let's talk about the items, then we'll talk about my summoner spell choice. So we're actually going to go for a Dark Seal early in one potion. Items, Riftmaker, Liandry's. That is how I like to play. That's how I like to play Akali top with Conquer. A lot of consistent damage. The AP Bruiser vibe where you have a bit of tankiness, but you have a lot of consistent damage with the Conquer. Everything just works together. This guy E's me, that'd be hilarious. And let's talk about Ignite Teleport, because I think most of you would assume TP, Flash TP, or Flash Ignite. Against champions that heal. So I thought we were going into Warwick, but this is good against... also, it's going to be good against Zach. You want to be going for... Ignite, but you also want TP as a top laner because it will help you infinitely scale into late game. If the enemy has TP and you're in a tough situation where they're split pushing bot at 30 minutes and Baron's up, if you don't have TP, you're just gonna have to give up a free turret or something like that. Not quite. Okay. And I will do a check. I'm going to check to see if this is up because Warwick might be greeting for it. Doesn't look like he is. All right, we're going to just E right over and get this cooldown going again just to get there a little bit faster. He has no reason to assume my E is down, but he's still going to jump me anyways. And now we're literally... Oh, missed a Q. That was really bad. Death by 1,000 stabs, I guess you could say. We're just trying to wither him down over and over again. Even though he heals, he does not trade well. And we are just trying to wither him down. I accidentally, that was just not, it wasn't, okay. I'll be honest with you. I had a different play in my head. I E'd a minion thinking I could ult him, finish him off, and then fly back. Unfortunately, I E'd a minion that had 2 HP, apparently, and it did not make it. So yeah, we died. Okay, it is not a problem. It looks like the wave is okay. Not in the best spot, but not... Yeah, not bad. Okay. All right. Teemo versus Dragon. Okay. Anyways, we're going to continue on now. So Riftmaker is the item we're going to be going for first. It is good damage. It is solid stats. It is Omnivamp in long fights. And honestly, he could have ulted me. I don't know my ult up, but I'm assuming that he just... I've killed him so many times, he'd probably be afraid of me. But we're going to wait a second for my abilities and energy to come back up, then we'll thin the wave out. We don't need more than 4 extra minions. It's a bit less. That's okay. See if we can get a good... Now we have to be careful. Warwick is only level 4, so we should be okay. Ignite is up, but I've actually not taken the best trade. My ult is coming up soon, so I have to wait for that. I'm actually going to wait. If I can E his E, we will kill him for sure. Other than that, I don't want to die to Warwick, but he's not going to be 6 yet, so I might as well just engage him. If we have the opportunity in the next few seconds. Oh, okay, that works. You know, yeah. I wanted to use my E to end up flying towards him in range to ult, and then he just didn't have his passive up, so that's good. All right, we are gonna head out of here. We probably don't need to, but I think that being half HP against a Warwick that's gonna be coming up on level 6 is a bit of a risky play. So we are going to opt towards the smarter / safer play. Push the wave in. He's going to miss a bunch. We get the kill of experience and gold off of the kill. And this should be perfectly in the turret almost. All right. Just about. He's pushing the wave anyways. His passive should be up any second now. I can't... It is up. Okay. But that is not... That shouldn't be too much of a problem. We should be able to clear it out. I want to see if I can... No, we're good. I was gonna see if I could do some damage to him. Should I be able to kill this? Should get all of them low. Oh god. Okay. Oh, listen. Nobody saw that. That was the best performance Lisa and Akali has ever had in their life. Alright. Clear all these out. Oops. Not a problem. So, full runes. We got Conquer, Presence of Mind, Legend Tenacity, Last Stand. And then we have Second Wind and Overgrowth. These are all very solid runes on Akali. Every last one of them. I don't think conditioning is very good anymore because they doesn't give you tenacity, so I don't really build that anymore. And we're just looking to get a Riftmaker as soon as possible. Once we can queue all 4 of these and all 4 of those, that is good enough for us. And we're gonna eat this on the way out. Just gonna run right back to this turret. We do have TP available. I think I'll probably end up using it if this fight continues, but no, we're good. It looks like there's a pretty high chance that we TP. Depending on how this fight ends up. I mean, you never know. Zach might end up, or Warwick might end up healing and then going straight to bot lane. Can you bait? I have TP. And for 2 kills, I don't care if I miss a few waves. We need something to TP to. This will do. Yeah, I'll take Warwick's. Warwick is enemy champions seem to be very helpful towards redirecting. Well, it seems like we're able to redirect into ult position with our E quite often now. Our E2. It's been working out. Let's go ahead and run back to top lane now. We'll miss a few waves. And it looks like he does have... They got all the Void Grubs, I think, so... Are they summoning the things? Can't really tell. But that's okay. So Riftmaker going to give us a bunch of bonus damage. And as we get more health, we will get more AP as well, which will be nice. Alright. Oof. There it is. We still have Riftmaker active because he queued me. Now he's going to give us Omnivamp and 10% bonus damage. I'll take it, you know. I will totally take that. Assuming he's going to E. That is going to be enough damage. Do I have to be worried about a Warwick when Dragon fight is happening? I suppose so, because I haven't seen him yet. Okay, and I don't have any base Omnivamp, so I should probably just push this way and get out of here. I mean, they did just take Dragon. His TP is up. They're up 2 dragons on us, which is never fun. Yeah, just to be a little bit on the safer side, I'm just gonna head back like immediately. And then we'll use our E and W. Okay, so. Okay. The blind, it's just... Oh, it's perfect. There you go. Okay. Yeah, so far so good. Top lane, it looks like mid is losing slightly. Bot lane is losing slightly. Not a big deal. Alright, looks like no one's really losing too much now. Awesome. Let's grab these little embers just for the CDR. Might as well E onto this. Alright, 1 auto onto each of these. Okay. Oh, he's got the item. He's got the item. He's got the Radiant Hollow. Radiant, what is it? Whatever the heck it's called. Who cares? He gets MR, he gets a little bit of damage over fights. Nothing too concerning on my end. Just a bit tankier.
I'm right here.
I'm sad. I'm sad. Maybe I could have just man-moded and queued twice, but... That's tragic, actually. That timing. I thought I was gonna get him to... I was gonna knock him a different way. We probably could have killed Zach at that point. But it looks like the Fed... The very Fed Zed got me. Damn. TP will be up soon. What are you doing, man? Go to the Rift Herald. Ay. That's not good. I'm TPing anyways. Good potential for us to get fed here. Not my kill, sad. Not my kill. Oh, if we could grab this objective. We did grab it, that's good. I'll take it. That's something. Because we can hopefully get the tier 2, and then that would be absolutely massive. These minions did not want to attack. Oops, that missed the cannon. We gotta take it for fun, you know? Alright. I'm gonna go ahead and summon this like right as I start pushing the wave. I just want to get a charge onto the tier 2. And I don't think... Wait, no. Oh my god. I don't... Literally, I didn't want to take that thing. Okay. You know what? Well, we didn't want it, but it's there anyways for us. That'll do. Let's keep, let's get out of here, considering the Zed is probably on his way. And the charge goes through, so we're happy. Alright, we're getting Landry's now. Next up is going to be 100% Azonia's for the Zed who is fed. That was, that Jinx ult had no purpose, but that's okay. And the blue buff expires as we jump into it. Alright. Let's see what we can do. Zed just use his W. He's fast. He's very fast. 419. We have 390, so not gonna happen. If I had ult up, he dies. Sadly, I don't, so he lives. All is well. Yeah, he's not getting that. Honestly, that's my control ward and no one's taking it. I don't know what to say. Yeah, the Teemo gank didn't work out so well for them, unfortunately. Who knew Teemo couldn't do much against an Akali? Let's go ahead and get this tower as fast as possible. We should be good. Zach is roaming over there. And this is going to be 700 gold. Straight into our pockets, which is so beautiful. Nothing else left to get. We're going to go for the Seeker's Arm Guard. And I wish we had enough gold left over for the Medjais, but we don't. So it is what it is. Not a big deal. There is going to be a massive fight here in a second, since Zed and Teemo will be rotating over. So I will preemptively recognize that it's dragons up, right? Like, it's going to be a big fight. I want to get the ult off, but it's not going to happen. All is well. Ooh, they took dragon. I was not looking then. That's my bad. Well. If I could just... Oh my gosh, my stopwatch was not in the right spot. That's crazy. Let's get out of here. I did fumble. I didn't need to take a huge fight like that. I could have showed up to the dragon on time, and that was like a pretty crucial mistake, because if I died there, it's a bounty. It's just not good. Luckily, we outplayed them.
They can't stop me.
We were able to connect the E onto Varus, and it just worked out. But that was like, it could have been a lot better had I just showed up where I was supposed to be on time.
I love what I do.
Okay.
My enemies won't.
I did get hit by multiple mushrooms on the way too, which is not fun. I need to make sure I have this hovered so I don't forget to get it.
An ally has been slain.
On my way. 420. Whoa. What the?
Enemy has been slain.
That miss, unfortunately. Looks like Jinx is gonna pop off anyways. Alright, buddy. It's like literally like no point in what you're doing. I just don't believe in what you're doing. I think he was trying to block me off of Zach. But it wasn't it, honestly. It just wasn't it. I think Jinx got a good pop up before she died. Not really sure how she died, but
Wars are messy.
that is okay. We got stacks. That's all we care about. Oh, we're doing well. We got Medjai stacks. It is rolling. Oof, 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 oof. Even with the Hex Drinker, he did like 10% of, or E1 did 10% of his health. is a joke, right? Oof, I'm gonna die. That was my bad. The Teemo. It's the global taunt, unfortunately. It is the global taunt. Rip stacks, rip bounty, huge death. Horrible, horrible death. Okay, that'll do. Not bad. Now 2 for 1, but it's still not good. Alright. We just need to make sure we don't... Okay. Okay. We need to make sure we don't die. Oof. They need to make sure they die. But yeah, Infernal Soul, we can't die. Just play safe for 1 minute. Yeah, if we play safe for just literally 1 minute, that would be massive for us.
Channel it.
And we have huge damage, but they have huge damage as well. We don't have enough tankiness for their huge damage. We might be able to go in for a 1v5 now that Zonies is up, but preferably we find a pick or something. That would be ideal.
How about I just end this?
Dragon's coming up and they're fighting without me. Hate to see it. Turret's kind of low. Yeesh. I mean, in what world am I supposed to win this for them? I'm not TPing into that. That's death for me. Okay, 29. Yeah, bad timing for sure to throw it. Just run it down, but all good. If we can take this, that'd be great. I think Zach will be eating onto me in a second. Oof. Okay. Yeah, not good, not good. We don't want to be losing Infernal Soul. Really don't. No shot. Good job from them. Good job from them. I gotta get out of here. We're at 10 stacks plus. That's good. Let's shoot. I need to avoid. They are just getting so much magic pen. My Q didn't go off for some reason. It's weird. All good. Let's push this as fast as possible. They do get the dragon, which is amazing. We needed that really bad. Huh. Okay, yeah. Able to stick on him. Zed is... He's not their entire team, but I mean, Teemo has like a good portion of their kills. Well, our jungler is literally dead, so it's and so is our support. That's really good. Okay. Well, we do have a Liandry, so it'll do something. Make sure it's permanently burning them to space out our abilities. Hopefully Warwick doesn't steal this away. Nice. We'll take it. If only we got that. 200 away. I would like to find a kill. If not, I'll just be patient. Get this farm. We are just 30 gold away. We're going to take this and go. Nice. We do have the Void Staff now, so we are penetrating them very hard. Yeah, it's good to get this, considering where our team is at versus theirs. They have so much MR, and we need to get Void Staff. It's urgent at this point. We don't have all the M-Pen items that we have with the AP build, with the electric build. I just get ulted. What? Good. We literally just blew Varus up. Honestly, the fact that he was even trying to do that is kind of strange. Split push Teemo? Teemo's split pushing? Jump the question mark because he's been toxic all game. The burn enough is not. Oh, Zed Jinx gets it. Okay, we'll take it. Oh man. Oh my god. If we don't die, I can just TP back. This is fine. That is going to be game. We're gonna ult over the Zac. There we go. Very, very nice. There's your... Nice. All right. GG. Well played. That's Akali top. We're now going to be going into the matchups guide, so you can refer to this whenever you're playing Akali yourself. You can just go to the timestamps in the description to get tips on each matchup you ever play against. However, we're going to be using a lot of Season 12s because all of the old matchups still play out the same, but we're going to be going over all the new champions as well and adding that at the beginning. So we're going to start now with K'Sante. K'Sante is a very difficult matchup to ever kill. He is way too tanky to really get anything done. Your best bet is to try to wait until you get a Riftmaker and then try to run him down with good wave positioning, minion control, so you have a lot of room to ult him and wear him down. He's very tanky, so it's hard to kill him. Anything less than having the entire top lane or the entire mid lane to work to your advantage. He can combo you into your turret. He is a very dangerous champion. He actually is a really good counter pick against Akali, so just be very, very careful. I would probably go flash TP and try to be useful around the map rather than laning against K'Sante. Moving on, we have NAAFIRI. All you have to do is zigzag around and dodge out NAAFIRI's Q. The beautiful thing is, if you don't get by 2 Qs, you're really not going to take much damage at all in the lane, because NAAFIRI's E or the W, whichever one dashes onto the Akali, you can actually E it because it's a telegraphed dash. You can E it onto NAAFIRI and you will end up marking them with your E, doing way more damage. NAAFIRI is meant for roaming, not winning 1v1 versus Akali, whereas Akali's ultimate does good damage to enemy champions. So yeah, easy enough. Moving on, we have Briar. The matchup is incredibly simple. Just stay out of range of her nonsense. If she runs at you, you use your E, Q, or W to escape. Preferably, you use your Shroud to avoid getting hit by her stun. And then past that, you can wait out her abilities, and you can also use your E to escape her while you think she might trade better. Next up, we have HWEI. And while I haven't played this champion yet, I know that he has a few different CC skill shots that can be used against you. All you have to do is wait for him to use, I believe it's his E that throws out And if you can dodge that ability, dodge a singular skill shot CC ability, then you can actually just ult on top of him, flash on top of him, hit him with the R plus E combo, and wear him down. This is a specific matchup, just like I would say with Lux, where you'd want to probably go for a first item rocket belt, because that way you can run at him, he throws a skill shot at you, you ult or you rocket belt sideways, dodge out his skill shot, and then he's just open season to farm. Once his abilities are down, you have a lot of room to just destroy him, but be careful against the poke. Doran Shield, Second Wind, those are your best friends for surviving the lane itself. And now for the matchups guide for Akali. I'm going to go over every single matchup that you'll ever play against, unless it's a troll pick. So let's just start. We're going against AATROX. If you're against AATROX, you don't really have the potential to win pre-6 ever, unless you hardcore outplay him, but he's so tanky and does so much more damage, and he catches you out if you try to go in on him so well that I'd recommend waiting until level 6. Having Ignite is incredibly useful in this lane, because once you're level 6, you have your ultimate, you're going to be able to do more damage to him, get some healing reduction on him, and overall he's very killable at level 6. But I would just use your spells to farm from a safe distance. Make sure you have a Doran Shield and Second Wind to survive the lane. And this would be a good situation where you can actually go for Teleport Ignite, because Flash won't really be useful in this lane, but Teleport will help you survive early, and it'll add an extra layer of just being secure in the top lane. But overall, you can ult over his Q, you can E his Q, you can use Shroud to kite him out, but you don't really do that much damage unless you have Conqueror and you have a really long fight. So AATROX is really hard to kill. Probably just try to get him under the turret and then look for an all-in play. Under your turret, rather. Next up, we have Ahri. In this lane, you just need to use your spells to survive until level 6. You can try to catch out the Ahri if she uses her charm and misses and she's under your turret. You can definitely try to hit her with an E or E backwards and fly into her, hit her with the Q, and then use your Shroud to run in, hit her with a passive proc and another Q, get Electrocute off. But once you're level 6, you want to run at her and then sidestep to dodge her charm. And then if you can, if her charm is down and you ult her and then connect your E, even if she starts ulting away, you can pretty much kill her by passive proccing and then using E to catch up to her when you need to, and then passive proccing, and when she ults again, you can flash and then you can hit her with another Q and a passive proc. You should be able to keep stick onto Ahri post 6. Just don't die. Until then, don't play aggressive, I would say. She pokes a lot, and even with auto W, she can proc shoot easily, so just be careful, play safe until level 6. Next up, we have AKSHAN. I would recommend going Teleport Ignite here because AKSHAN just does so much poke damage, and he's a pretty meta solo laner for a ranged AD carry. So what I would do here is I would be sure to get a Doran Shield, use your spells to safely farm, and then it's really hard to hit him with your E because his E makes him fly around like crazy, but he is relatively easy to kill post 6 if you hit your ult. Just look to dodge out his ability, his Q, by making sure there are no minions. None of your minions are in between you and him, because they extend range. His boomerang Q skill shot extends range when he hits minions, so he might extend and hit you. But other than that, if you don't get hit by his double auto plus a Q to proc his passive, you should be fine in the lane. Next up, we have ANIVIA. ANIVIA is going to be relatively easy as long as you don't get hit by a Q. So level 1 against ANIVIA, you can actually take a Q level 1 because you'll have Doran's Shield, you'll have Second Wind. You can take a Q level 1 and it won't be a big deal, you'll heal it up. However, level 2 and beyond, you cannot get hit by a Q because her E does triple damage if she gets hit by a Q. If you're hit by a Q, and then you'll be down to half health after one combo. So you need to just at all costs avoid getting hit by a Q at level 2 because it's going to lead into an E. But once you're level 3, if ANIVIA is going to hit you with a Q, you can actually just use your Shroud, and even when their Q's like about to be on top of you, just use your Shroud. Her Q doesn't actually do much damage at all. It's that E, that empowered E that she follows up with, that does all the damage. So you just want to avoid that. And then rarely ANIVIAs will overextend, but it does happen. When their Q is down, they're very vulnerable. So you can try to wear them out a few times, hit them with a few combos, and then get rid of their egg. Make it a lot easier for you to kill them once you're level 6. And then yeah. And moving on to Annie. Annie is very reliant off of hitting you with a stun and then proccing Electrocute off of it. And that's okay for the first few times, but once you're getting below that 75% health mark, you want to avoid her abilities at all costs. Just use your spells to farm safely, and then when her stun is down, you can look to poke her out. She has to go pretty close range to hit her W, so you can actually combo her out using your W to get closer, hit her with the Q, slow her, and then hit her with an E, and then fly in with another E, and then just do a bunch of damage to her and back out. Take a good trade. Once you're level 6, she's very squishy, so try to freeze the wave under your turret or get the wave in a good spot for you, and then just look for an all-in play to take her out. And yeah, it's actually not that hard for a lane counter. You should, if you don't get caught out and poke too much early, and definitely don't let her poke you post 6. Only get in range to take damage when you're ready to all in her and kill her. Because if she hits you with the QW and you're suddenly at 70%, well, the next time she can flash and hit you with Tibbers, her ult, and just completely destroy you. So be careful to not get chunked at level 5, but at the same time, if you weaken her, if you think you're going to hit level 6 first, start fighting at level 5 aggressively, and then if you get a level 5 Annie with your level 6 Akali, it's very easy to kill her. Next up, we have Aurelion Sol, and what you want to do against Aurelion Sol is just look to play aggressive, and whenever he uses a stun, you can use your E to dash out of it. But in general, as long as you stay inside of the Aurelion Sol, inside of his stars, he's pretty easy to kill. It's pretty easy to do a lot of damage to. The one thing I would worry about is making sure you don't ult behind him and then having him use his ult, which is a laser that pushes you back, which pushes you. You don't want him to stun you and laser you into the turret. But other than that, Aurelion Sol is just going to shove the wave and look to roam over and over again. So be sure you're pinging your teammates. Aurelion Sol is a very easy matchup, but if your teammates aren't paying attention, or if you're not pinging them, they're going to get ganked by an Aurelion Sol. He can get to bot lane in like less than 10 seconds or something crazy like that. So just be sure you are pinging. Next up, we have AZIR. Very brutal matchup. I would definitely go for Teleport Ignite here because he just does too much poke, and Doran Shield, Second Wind sometimes isn't enough if you want to get even like half of the CS. So Teleport can help you recall when you need to, maybe around level 4, level 5, so that when you are both level 6, he's not going to be able to just all-in dive you, because that would be a shame, because you just lose the lane right there. You won't be able to snowball and get your mid-game power spike because you'll be busy catching up from behind. So it's pretty much unavoidable to dodge his spells. Just when he sets a soldier, try not to run too close to it. When he throws his soldier forward with his other ability, then run away from that as well. Then just try to farm and not get poked out of lane. And if you do, you can teleport back. And actually make sure you're using your teleport. So you can just make sure you don't die, get your minions, and then teleport back to lane as needed. Next up, we have Brand. It's very self-explanatory. If you've ever played Brand, you know that he's a very easy to understand champion. Just don't stand next to minions when he runs up to use E on them, and make sure you're always running around so he doesn't hit you with your W. But in general, he's a very easy champion to dodge abilities. Getting early boots of speed might be good here on your first or second recall, just for that little bit of extra ability to dodge his W and his Q. But he's not often played because his skill shots come out very slowly, so it's hard to really make full use of that champion. Next up, we have Camille. This champion is pretty difficult for Akali, but also pretty easy at the same time. Camille's W, I believe it is her little cone that will heal her. And you can either run just into range and then back out so she wastes it, or you can even run through it and into her to avoid it as well. But other than that, you need to be able to predict Camille's E, because she has to grapple into a wall and then fly into you. But if you have your E available and she tries to fly into you, you can just E right where you think she's going to fly into, aka where you are, and then she'll end up missing her stun, and then you hit your E, and you're able to do a massive combo, or at least hit your E2 and then pass a proc and run out. But past that, Camille's a pretty easy lane because you can just shroud her ult. It's very funny. Her ult is pretty much countered by your W, so that's always fun. But on the flip side, she can also use her ultimate to go untargetable as you're R2ing. She's going to try and time that. So right when you think you should ult, if you're in a close fight, don't ult the Camille. Give it another second or two. Give her a chance to ult you if she hasn't. And then once she's landed with her ultimate, then hit her with that execute, that perfect execution, baby. Next up, we have Cassiopeia. At all costs, avoid getting chunked out of lane. It's pretty easy to bait out the Cassiopeia's Q, run into range of it, and then sidestep it. Or you can even, and this is the way I play against this is how I play in high elo against Cassiopeia, is I actually run in range, and then I keep running towards Cassiopeia, and they're never going to expect it. They're going to end up queuing behind you, and you'll be in range to hit them with a combo in that case. It's actually pretty possible to kill Cassiopeia pre-6 if you have, if you're confident and you know what you're doing. With a little bit of experience against this matchup, you can actually turn her into snake food very quickly. But after that, you don't really want to go in for a long range E into E2 if her ultimate's up, because she'll just always get her stun off. But what you want to do is look for an ultimate engage onto the Cassiopeia, and then auto attack her with your passive proc, and then Q, and then instantly back up. And then the second you run back in to do your second part of your combo and kill her, most of the time after you ult her, passive proc, and then Q, and then run away to get your passive proc, right after that first initial combo and you're running back towards her, that is when they always ult you. And it makes sense as a Cassiopeia player, because that's the time where you think to ult, because it makes most sense. You got a little bit of range on them. They're done with the first half of their dashy combo. In that case, you need to be ready for that Cassiopeia ult and sidestep it, or you backpedal it, look backwards. If you're looking towards the Cassiopeia, obviously you get hit with a very big stun. And other than that, it's pretty simple. Just she's an immobile mage, very easy to turn into free gold over and over again later on into the game. Next up, we have CHO'GATH. CHO'GATH is pretty simple, honestly. Just try to dodge his Q. It should be pretty simple to stay out of the range until you're ready to get your spells up, have energy, and then fight the CHO'GATH. If you're top lane, you can definitely just fight the CHO'GATH whenever you're level 3 or higher. You do more damage than him, and whenever he uses his Q, you can either E out of it, or you can just dodge it by running. It's a really slow spell to come out, and if you are a half decent player, you should be able to dodge it pretty easily. But CHO'GATH is a very short range champion. It's almost pointless to really poke CHO'GATH in lane because he heals so much with his passive. But once you hit level 6, he is very easy to kill if you're top lane. Mid lane, you'll have to wear him down with a few combos in lane, and then once he's about like 70% health, then you can all in him, just because he has so much health. And even though he's immobile as a mage, he's got a knock up, he's got a silence. So just keep that in mind, but overall, CHO'GATH lane is pretty easy. Next up, we have CORKI. CORKI, all you have to do in this matchup is avoid taking too many autos with his E active. You should be able to dodge his Q pretty easily, and if he does try to run up to auto attack you and hits you with the Q, you should be able to potentially get on top of him, run at him with your Q, slow him, and start comboing him out. He's a pretty short-range champion, and he can't really play too aggressive. He needs to play slow. Post 6, if you can get on top of him to hit him with an ult, that'd be amazing. But I think you're more likely to kill him before 6, because once he's level 6, he can just use his ult to wave clear from far away. But yeah, Corki's pretty easy to kill, and whenever you do manage to play the lane well, position the minions to the point where you can ult him, he's incredibly easy to one-shot. He's very squishy, low health, low resistance type of champion, so it should be easy enough to kill him. Next up, we have Darius. Against Darius, you do not want to have him hit you with a auto W level 1, so avoid getting cheesed in the brush. I would probably wait in the top brush at level 1 so you don't have him pop out of the brush and auto W and just run you down and get his maximum bleed off at level 1. But essentially, just stay safe and farm minions from a distance until level 3 so he doesn't combo you out. And the big thing in this matchup, because post 6 you win, but if you mess up and you use your spells on the minion wave, or if you E a cannon, if he's able to ghost at you and hit you with his E, he can run you down like no other champion. Darius thrives off of having the enemies use their abilities on not him, and then just making them regret it, because he does some insane damage with a very aggressive slow, and his fully stacked bleed into his ultimate is just massive damage throughout the entire situation. So be mindful of that. Next up, we have Diana. Against Diana, usually they're going to start W at level 1, so you can actually bait that out by running at them, and then right before they're in range for the W to hurt you, you can back up. That's a fun way to make them waste their W. Other than that, I mean, throughout the lane, if she hits you with the Q and she ever dashes onto you with her E, you should be able to use your E to hit her with the E, because she's going to be dashing onto you and it kind of stuns her in animation. You can also use your ultimate to dash out of Diana's ult. That's something you can do as well at the last second. You want to be careful though. You definitely don't want to use your ult right when she ults, because she might follow you through with an E afterwards. So maybe wait until halfway through her ult. When it's about to explode, you can ult out. Overall, it's a pretty 50-50 matchup. I go Conquer because even though she's squishy, she ends up getting health, and it ends up being a tinky, longer fight. So I like to go Conquer against this particular mage. Next up, we have Dr. Mundo. If you know how his spells work, you know that he can shove low HP minions past the rest of the minions, and if it hits you, you take damage. So knowing that, don't let him hit you with his E, and don't let him hit you with Qs. And whenever there aren't low health, whenever there aren't any low health of your minions, and you have minions you can use to body block, you can take really good trades against him. He is a melee champion versus your range Qs and passive procs, and you have Dorn Shield and second win. Should be pretty easy to survive his poke anyways if you do get hit. Pretty simple, pretty easy matchup, and then it gets easier at level 6. Just have Ignite and then all in him. Yeah, there's not much to it. Next up, we have EKKO. EKKO is a very fun matchup because it is just so easy to do a lot of damage to him without him retaliate, because whenever you can, so you basically, here's how it works. Level 1, you can dodge his Q, hit him with the Q and a passive proc, you win level 1. Level 2, he'll have E and Q, you'll have E and Q. If he ever uses his E to jump onto you, you literally can immediately E him and then E back into him and then passive proc, and that's electrocute, and both of your E's, you win that trade too. Beyond that, anytime he uses his E onto you, you can retaliate with your E, and you can even use your Shroud to avoid taking damage while he stuns. It's just such an easy matchup. If you understand how EKKO works, it's so reactionary. but you can also be aggressive at the same time. Next up, we have FIORA. So FIORA, you need to be wary of her parry. That rhymes. She is almost always going to use her parry to negate your R2 later on, but she might use it your E2. But basically, you want to play slow against FIORA if you're going for an all-in. Like say you're under your turret and then you start fighting her. Don't blow all your abilities at once. Do one step at a time, slow and methodic. Keep your distance if you can. But in general, FIORA is not a really hard matchup. You just can't let her get on top of you. So you don't want to be burning through your E trying to snipe a FIORA. You want to wait for her to try and Q in and get into your minions, past her minions. And then that way, if she overextends into your minions, then you can hit her with the E and you'll be able to take a good trade. But if you use your E on minions next to her, if you go for an E snipe and you miss, because FIORA can dash and pretty much dodge all of your E's, if she's good, then you'll have your E will be on like such a big cooldown, and then all of a sudden she's jumping on you and there's nothing you can do about it. You have to shroud, then that giant cooldown's down, and then she dashes in a few seconds later and you end up losing half your health to her auto attacks. So just be careful about that. But past that, I would definitely get an Oblivion Orb by 20 minutes. Her healing's not that bad until she gets an item, but it's just so worth getting a Oblivion Orb fast. You want to cut out that healing. It's just so important. Next up, we have FIZZ. FIZZ is also exceptionally easy because you can be aggressive, but you can also play reactionary to how he plays. So if he ever Qs in, you can E him while he's mid Q, and it's gonna hit every time. He can't use his E, his totem pole, while he's in the middle of his Q. So therefore, you always get your E off. You just save it for when he dashes on you. If he uses his E to try and clear the wave, then you can wait it out and then use your E on him, or slow him with your Q and then E him. But then also, what I like to do against FIZZ in mid lane is to run up to him, pretend like I'm going to Q him, and then he ends up using his E, but then you still have your energy and your Q is still available, so then he has to E away. He loses a lot of mana, his cooldown's down, so he loses pressure. You can take minions from him, zone him off of minions, or if he even tries to farm without his E, you can just take a really good trade on him. Past that, don't get hit by his max range Fizz ults, and you're never gonna have a problem with him. And I mean, like, the only way Fizz can ever hit a max range ult is if you're really not paying attention. You have the reaction speed of a donkey, or he hits you with a ult over the wall, in which case, I mean, if you know he's recalling, you should be able to tell how long it takes to get back to mid lane, roughly. Don't greed for a plate against a Fizz, because he might go over the raptor wall, or he might go over into the river and try to snipe you. And if he hits you with a max range ult, it can hurt really bad and he'll kill you. So just be careful about that. Next up, we have GALIO. GALIO is pretty simple to kill because whenever he tries to, you just don't want to let him ever hit his W, which is his taunt, or his E, which is his dash. And the way you do that is by literally only staying max range. Hit him with max range Qs. You can passive proc him, and then if he charges up his E, or if he starts charging up his E or his W while you're in the middle of passive procking, just use your E on him. Use your E, back out, and then continue doing what you're doing. If he ever is about to hit you with an E or W, you can also use your Shroud. And then if he's using his E towards you, you can use your E. And overall, it's pretty easy. And then if Galio's ever ulting if say your junglers are fighting at the second or third Scuttle Crab, when you're all level 6, you can actually follow Galio. It's a little bit harder than following a Shen ult, but you can follow Galio's ult as well. So that's something to keep in mind. But overall, just go conquer, play aggressive, but don't waste your spells. You got to save your E and your W to play reactionary. Therefore, it's going to take a while to kill the Galio, but you will always take good trades if you don't waste your abilities. Next up, we have GANGPLANK. Now, for Gangplank, it's really tricky because if he has Grasp and he knows what he's doing, he'll just get his Grasp ready and run up and Q you, and there's nothing you can do about it. This lane is actually incredibly difficult until level 6 because he is such a good lane bully against Akali specifically that I would recommend not playing aggressive at all and actually going for Teleport Ignite in this lane. Once you are during the lane, I would definitely be careful for the barrels, stay out of range of those, or if you're feeling risky, you can try to take out his barrel before he is able to pop it. But after level, once you hit level 6, he is immobile, you do way more damage to him, especially if you have Conquer as your keystone, and you should be able to run him down fairly simply. And his W anti-crowd control doesn't really do anything against Akali. Just survive the lane till 6, it's of the utmost importance. Teleport Ignite would be a really good summoner for that. Next up, we have Garen. Garen is so incredibly easy. As long as you don't waste your E against Garen, you should win literally every single trade. Garen's Q and Akali's E are pretty similar in cooldown. Garen's Q comes up a little bit faster. But you should only be using you should only be using your E as Akali when Garen Q's next to you. So if you're gonna run up to try and Q Garen, usually he's gonna Q and run at you with the movement speed. In which case, instead of using Q and locking yourself in the Q animation for half a second, just pretend to run up to him and use Q, but then use your E instead. Wait for his Q to run out, and then you can fly into him, hit him with a bunch of stuff. And sure, he can spin and hit you through Shroud, but overall, the lane is pretty simple. Just don't get hit by a bunch of free enemy Garen Qs. Next up, we have GNAR. GNAR does not have that much range, so it makes beating him pretty easy considering he is a AD poke, AD carry pretty much that pokes you. Against GNAR, you want to just dodge out his boomerangs as best as you can. And whenever he goes to CS without boomerangs, you can potentially look to use the brushes in top lane to get close to him, close enough to Q and then hit him with an E. This lane is pretty easy to zone GNAR off of CS and make him go have to use his Q to last hit. And then past that, he's very squishy, and without his Mega GNAR, he's really squishy and killable. So you should be able to kill him really easily at level 6 and beyond, as long as his Mega GNAR is not up. Because he does have to overextend pretty far to get minions and last hit. His Q's not even good. It's good for like for getting like 1 CS. But then the lane at level 6 quickly becomes either GNAR loses half of the CS or he dies. Either way, good for you as Akali. Next up, we have GRAGAS. This champion is pretty simple to play against. Neither of you really do damage to each other. You both heal a little bit throughout the lane. But against GRAGAS, you just want to make sure that you're not running too far into his minions, because if you end up running past your minions, he's just gonna E you, W, and then Q you and fly away with a phase rush. You never want to get hit by Gragas's stun, I would say, unless you're able to do more damage than him. So keep that in mind. And other than that, he's gonna try and throw Qs to poke you. Simple as any other champion. Just run up in range and then try to back out. Bait his Q out if you can. And overall, it's just a matter of taking small trades and not really messing up. If you miss your E against GRAGAS, he has open rain on you. Shroud won't do too much against GRAGAS because he is mostly a caster. He's a mage. But you should be able to kill him at level 6 pretty easily, because if you ult him and connects your E, even if GRAGAS stuns you and flashes away or ults you away, if you connect your E onto him, you can just fly towards him. And even if you're not able to get your E off on GRAGAS, if you use the first part of your ult, you should be able to catch up to him with the R2 just off of the mobility. So yeah. Next up, we have Graves. This champion is probably going to sit in the brush level 1 and try to auto attack you and poke you out starting from level 1. there's really not much you can do about it. If I were you, I would go for teleport ignite or flash teleport. You definitely need teleport against the Graves lane because all he does is shove you in or try to zone you off CS and poke you out. But Akali wins post 6 very hard, so you just need to survive. There's really nothing to it. Graves has a dash for your E, so it's pretty hard to hit it. You can jump in and shroud, but I mean, Graves is very tanky, so you're really not going to take any good trades pre-6 anyways. Next up, we have Gwen. I have not played against many Gwens, but as far as I know for top lane, they are pretty much impossible to hit your E on unless you R plus E combo because of her thing that makes her immune to getting hit by anything unless you're in her circle. So with that in mind, I would probably recommend not using anything other than your Q in lane to poke out her. And then if she is about to hit you with an empowered Q, her multiple scissors in a row, I think at that point, if she doesn't use her little circle of anti-damage whatnot, then you can fly in and use your, or you can try to hit her with your E, and then when you can E2, you'll also do the damage to her as well because you'll be within her circle. Next up, we have HECARIM. HECARIM is kind of a menace if the enemy player knows what they're doing, but if you're laying into HECARIM, you just need to remember that he has to come to you, so you decide what happens in that lane. If he runs at you, wait until he is within range of committing to dash on you and then use your E, and then after that you guys will both be knocked back. Your E will be attached to him, you can pass a proc and then hit the second part of your E, and then from there on you can use your shroud, pop out a different end of the shroud that he is, and then start hitting with a bunch of harass. The problem with the HECARIM lane is if he gets you under his turret and he runs you down, he does a fair amount of consistent damage, but usually HECARIM top's not meta, so you shouldn't have to go against him. If you are playing against a HECARIM in lane, let me know in the comments because I'm really curious, honestly. Next up, we have a HEIMERDINGER. Do not try to play aggressive against this champion. Here's what you're going to do against Heimer, because this is do or die mode. You can go flash ignite. You don't need teleport. Just stay behind minions so you don't get hit by his rockets. Don't get hit by his grenade. It's very slow, especially at max range. It'll take a long time to travel to you. So just stay away from him. Zigzag around so he can't hit a guaranteed one. He's gonna try and hit you with a grenade under your turret when you're farming, because that's what Heimers do. They try to harass you while you farm because they shove the wave really hard with their turrets. So you're gonna have to give up a few minions, but pretend like you're going for it, and then back out so he misses the grenade. And that's a big cooldown that'll relieve a lot of pressure, so you can get a lot more farm. But if you get hit by the grenade, you're gonna take so much damage and you're gonna potentially die. So just be careful. And then post 6. Once you're recalled or you get some items and you're healthy again, or maybe you've managed to stay healthy without recalling, Heimer's always going to be shoving into your turret, which means he's always going to be overextended. So what you can do against a Heimerdinger is, as you're pretending to farm while he's right next to you trying to auto attack you to harass you, just ult right on top of him and instantly shroud and move sideways. You don't want to ult and start attacking him, because if you ult and are busy attacking him to move around, he's gonna immediately grenade you once you ult. But there's no way, there's usually no chance that they're gonna be fast enough to hit you with a grenade. If you quickly ult on top of them, use your shroud instantly to get that movement speed burst and move off to the side. Once his grenade's down, happy hunting. Next up, we have ILLAOI. Against this champion, try your best to dodge out her E, which is that little soul grab that she throws out. If you can dodge her E, her Q is pretty simple to dodge. Just make sure your brain is active so you don't just mindlessly get hit by a bunch of her tentacle slams. But other than that, if she tries to jump on you, she has a tiny dash. You should be able to hit her with an E. And one thing in this lane is you can go flash ignite for sure. It's pretty simple. You could beat her really, really easily post 6. but I would definitely get an Oblivion Orb after you get your first item, whether it be like your first item shouldn't be Shadow Flame against an Illaoi. She has too much health. So I would go maybe for Rocket Belt into a Oblivion Orb, like really get it that early, because Illaoi just has too much healing. Next up, Irelia. Here's how Irelia works. She's gonna try to get the lane lead level 1 by attacking a bunch of minions, and then she's going to try and Q all 3 of them at the same time, get 3 stacks for passive, and then Q onto you, the level 1 Akali, to try and chunk you at to half health at level 1. Very common Irelia cheese. It works too often, yet it's just so obvious. So the way you can deal with that is either make her take some damage for trying to auto attack you, or make her take some damage level 1 for trying to auto attack the minions, because she's not going to use her Q on you until she can finish the first 3 minions off to stack up her passive. So you can actually, if you know this, you can actually get a free Q and then passive proc off, or even use a Q on her and then try to zone her off of the first 3 minions. That's probably not going to work out. Your passive is going to expire, and then she's going to end up queuing all the minions and then destroying you. So you can go for a Q at least. Try and harass her. Maybe get some minions before she gets those first 3. Just don't get cheese and die. And then after that, you can literally survive anything by using your Shroud when she tries to jump on you. And when she jumps on you with her Q, as long as there's no minions nearby and you're not marked, so she can't dash away after, you can just E her as she Qs onto you. And just, if you avoid getting hit by E's, if you avoid getting cheesed by her 4 passive stack damage, you actually can kill her pretty easily. It's just, she has more potential to catch you slipping than you have potential to catch her slipping. Next up, we have Jarvin. Jarvin, if you ever go against a Jarvin, is very straightforward. If he EQs you, if you're not able to dodge it, press Shroud, and past that, you can try to do typical combos against him. And you can also ult out of his ultimate, or you can Shroud in the middle of it. Either way, you have options against Jarvin. Very straightforward matchup. There's really no mechanics to him besides a EQ flash to extend the knockup, but yeah, should be pretty easy. Next up, we have Jax. Jax is going to almost always start E versus Akali at level 1 and then try to they're gonna dodge your passive proc. They're gonna let you get the Q off, and then when you try to passive proc, they're gonna dodge at the last second, run up to you, stun you, and start auto attacking you to death. The best way to play this Jax lane, because you win at level 6 because you can abuse your Shroud so hard versus an all melee champion, the best way you can beat a Jax is by going for the Q or just not. Waiting till level 3 versus Jax ensures that you have all the power in the world. And if Jax starts E and then goes Q, when you're level 2, when Jax jumps on you, you can just E him. But just be wary about getting stunned by him, because that's how he gets all of his damage. Is because when you commit to him and he dodges all your like passive procs and autos, and then he stuns you and does damage and keeps attacking you, that's how he wins the lane. And then after that, you will be able to just use your Shroud whenever he jumps you. You can wait out the stun. Once you have some levels and it's not 130 energy to use a single Q, you can make crazy things happen against a Jax. Next up, we have Jayce. Against the Jayce, you need to try your best to not take early poke with his ranged form, and you can't really engage on him because he'll poke you out while you're running towards him and then swap to his melee form and take a good trade on you. So the only thing you can do against a Jayce is try to safely farm up level 6. Past that, you have all the mobility and damage in the world to kill him. So just wait until level 6 and then jump. Use your R plus E combo to connect your E onto him, and from there on, it should be incredibly easy. Next up, we have Kai'Sa. So for Kai'Sa, you need to be careful about her hitting you with her W. because that does reveal you in, even if you shroud, it has true vision on you. So if you go into stealth, you'll still be revealed in your shroud. So other than that, though, you should be able to stay behind minions to avoid getting hit by Kai'Sa's W. In obvious situations where she shoves you in and you're trying to farm under turret and she's trying to poke you, just try to bait out her W by running up to a minion and then backing out. You'll miss some minions in this lane, but once you hit level 6, it's fairly straightforward to just jump her and start killing her over and over again. But against Kai'Sa, I would recommend just trying your best to play safe, use your spells to farm from a distance, and then all in her at level 6 because she's very, very easy to kill level 6 and beyond. Next up, we have Karma. Karma is as simple as avoiding her Q, so don't be next to your minions. You need to know the range, the width of Karma's Q. But other than that, you pretty much can always wait for her to throw her root out, her W, and then you can use your E to not only attach to her, but get out of the range of her tether, her root, and you can fly back into her once you're out of the root range. The lane itself is pretty straightforward, but you just need to get the wave under your turret and then look for an R plus E combo once you're level 6. She doesn't poke that hard, but you don't really want to try to play aggressive versus a Karma pre-6, because if you miss your E, or if you mess up a little bit of the combo, she will end up chunking you out really hard. And because she has a shield and a tether, it's very hard to weaken her until the point in which you can actually kill her pre-6. You have to get so many combos off, but you have to get even more combos off against a Karma because she has that shield to give her movement speed and all that, the shield itself. So I'd recommend just waiting until 6 and then going in. Next up, we have Kassadin. Against Kassadin, you can play aggressive at level 1 by running up to him and seeing if he uses his Q to get that shield off, in which case you don't actually use your Q yet, wait until it expires, then you Q him, and you end up taking a good trade because you'll heal up with Doran Shield and Second Wind. And then you can threaten to hit him with a passive proc, and he'll end up missing a few minions if you do it right before the first 3 die. Past that, you shouldn't ever get hit by a Kassadin's W, so never be in range to get auto-attacked by him. But you want to just stay just outside of range, unless you are able to connect your E, in which case you should E, fly in with the E2, passive proc him, which you're probably going to take a W to the face for it, but it'll be a good trade. And after that, you should be able to win the lane at all stages. Just don't waste your Q trying to hit the Kassadin and then missing, or else you might end up having to go in for an auto attack to CS, and then he'll end up doubling you, hitting you with a W at level 1 or 2. That would be the only way you lose the lane, is if you get hit by a few W's from Kassadin, because that does a lot of damage. After that, he is pretty straightforward to kill. As long as you don't make mistakes, you should be able to win every single time. And then we are moving on to Katarina. Katarina is a very easy matchup as long as you don't mess up. So the way you can mess up against Katarina is if you don't understand how she works and if she's able to use her E to make you miss your E. So just make sure you're not trying to throw your E out when there's something that Katarina can jump onto, including you. She can E to any side of any monster or champion, teammate or enemy. So just know that, and you can play aggressive at level 1, your Q versus her Q. You'll win, you'll heal up more, you'll have the passive proc afterwards to pressure her. Your cooldown's a little bit lower. And just keep playing aggressive, but never commit to using your E unless it's right after a Katarina uses her E, because early on, Katarina doesn't get a instant E reset. It takes like 2 or 3 seconds because she doesn't have enough points yet into her spells. So that's your only window to really hit her with an E. Other than that, dodge. Stay away from her bouncing daggers on the floor. You don't ever want to get hit by that because that's a good amount of damage. But as long as you stay away from those daggers, play aggressive, you should be able to beat her pretty well. Plus, you can E or ult out of her ult, so that makes it a bit easier as well. Next up, we have Kayle. Very straightforward lane. You win the entire lane. Just play aggressive, and when your cooldowns or energy is down, don't let her get a bunch of autos off on you. But other than that, once you're level 3, you should be able to beat her. But the worst thing you could do is run up and try to hit her, and then she ends up hitting you with her Q, and then you end up getting slowed. So if you're going to run up to the Kale, try running up to her and then sidestepping when you think she's going to throw her Q out. So you can get rid of her Q, she loses all the pressure of having Q, and then that way, if she wants to come up and attack you, you'll take the better trade. The only way Kale wins is if you mindlessly run at her and hit your and try to hit your spells, and she ends up just hitting you with a Q, auto E, and then you can't really do much in return because you're slowed. Next up, we have Kennen. Kennen is a lane bully for sure. So against Kennen, I would recommend looking to go for teleport, Dorn Shield, second win, the whole 9 yards of avoiding losing the lane against bullies. Stay behind your minions, and other than that, you just need to survive the lane. You're never going to want to play aggressive against a Kennen, because if you are ever trying to, even if you hit your E, if you fly in with your E, Kennen can Q EW in the span of you flying into him or her and stun you and then fly away and then auto you a bunch. So it's just play safe until 6. That's the bottom line. Next up, we have Kled. One of Akali's hardest counters, but don't be worried. All you need to do is go for early teleport. You can even go for a cloth armor 4 potions item start if you want. That could be useful to avoid getting cheesed by his nonsense. And the reason why Kled counters you is because his Q reveals you in Shroud, and it also pushes you, or pulls you rather, into him, and he does a bunch of damage with his auto attacks, whereas Akali rather wants to stay far away from melee champions, obviously, and Kled can also dash on you to chase you when you use your E. Just either try your best to avoid getting hit by Kled's Q. It's not always doable though, so teleport is very useful in this situation. But after that, once you're level 6, if Kled misses his Q, you can go in to take out half his health, and then once your spells are all back up, wait for your Shroud and all that stuff to come back up, you can go in for the all-in, and then you should be able to kill him at that point. But the reason why Kled is such a hard matchup is because people tend to die before level 6, because he's a pretty good lane bully. If he can connect a few Qs and then dash in with E, he'll do a lot of work to you, onto you, to say the least. Next up, we have LeBlanc. In this matchup, all you want to do is stay safe and try to hit level 6. LeBlanc will always QW you in the face and then auto attack you, and then teleport back to safety with her W to proc electrocute. That is her standard combo. But other than that, LeBlanc's E does reveal you in Shroud if you get hit by it. So you need to make sure that you are staying behind minions or you're far away from her. And at the same time, though, she is very squishy, so it's not too hard to beat a good LeBlanc. I beat the best LeBlanc in the world several times. Even though she's a lane bull and she does well against Akali, she only can do so much in the lane. You don't need teleport, just play safe, miss some CS, stay behind your minions, don't get hit by her QW too often. It's worth missing some minions. Just avoid getting hit by QW a bunch and having her proc her sigil, her mark, too often. Next up, we have Lissandra. Against Lissandra, you just have to make sure that there are none of your minions in between her and you, so she can't extend her Q, which is her main poke, to hit you and harass you. Other than that, don't try to even play aggressive until level 6, unless she wastes her W, which is that circle around her that snares everything and does damage, because you're never going to be able to get on top of her and do damage, because she'll literally just press W and walk away. Other than that, if she does use her W, you definitely have a shot to fly in really quick and do a little bit more damage than her, and you can slowly dwindle her down and go in for a kill level 6. But in general, you play safe till 6, then you go for a kill. Next up, we have Lucian. In this matchup, just play safe until level 6 once again. Get your spells to last hit minions. Be careful about Lucian dashing in at level 2 and doing a bunch of damage to you. You need to be extra safe at level 2 in this lane, but level 6 and beyond, if you practice enough Akali and playing safe and by your turrets and just farming under turret from a safe distance, you should have a decent amount of farm, and then you can come back after recalling, get some AP, and then Lucian is now an 80 carry that is stuck with you in the mid lane. Next up, we have Lux. Lux is a very easy champion because she's incredibly immobile. Her spells have a very high cooldown, and overall she is very squishy, and you just have to be safe until level 6. Don't get too close to her to get hit by her Q, and other than that, her E might go off at some points. You can dodge some of them, but even if you can't, if you're only getting hit by E's, if she's throwing them enough, she'll miss some and she'll lose mana and she'll be out of mana. But in general, you should be able to use your HP per 5, your Doran shield, your second wind, and all that to stay healthy enough until level 6. And then at that point, you should be able to start destroying her. It's all a matter of just not dying before you hit level 6. Next up, we have Malphite. Malphite is very easy to win the lane at level 4 and beyond, because Malphite is incapable of taking a better trade than you at any point. Unless he is spamming Qs onto you with Comet, he will run out of mana very quickly. But after he runs out of mana, you will start destroying him, you'll be healing. This is another reason why you go for Doran Shield and Second Wind, is because you'll heal up more. He won't be able to shove you out of lane, he'll run out of mana before you can do that. And then once you hit level 6, he has no means to escape you. He can slow you down and he can ult away, but he will never be able to win a 1v1. He'll never be able to win a trade, and eventually, if you can freeze the wave under your turret, you have all of top lane to get to him, or even mid lane, you will be able to run him down very easily. Next up, we have Malzahar. Against Malzahar, if he tries to throw his damage over time spell on you, then that's fine. Just you can take a few of them, and he'll run out of mana very quickly. He needs to be using that to farm the wave, otherwise he has like no wave clear at all. Whereas Akali can use her Q and whatnot. If he, in general, the Malzahar is a very easy lane to just farm up, but you can also last hit his Voidlings with an auto attack or a Q. And because he's such short range, the second he uses spells on a minion wave, on your minion wave for example, you can run up to him and do a bunch of damage, get rid of his shield really quick, and then once his shield is gone, you can run in with your passive, hit him with the passive, proc Q him again. It's actually a very easy lane if you let him use spells first, and if you're not using your abilities on Malzahar like an idiot, he'll probably just not even bother trying to poke you, and then he'll use spells on the wave, and then you have your window to try and hurt him. Next up, we have Maokai. If you're ever going into a Maokai top lane, just keep playing aggressive, go for Doran Shield as usual, and just stay aggressive at all stages of the game. Be sure to stay away from the brushes or have a ward on the one closest to your lane, and then make sure you're not overextending or pushing too hard. The only thing that can really stop you from winning trades is if Maokai gets saplings into a brush and then they run at you and do extra damage. But other than that, any kind of trade you do, you'll win it. One thing to be careful about as well is Maokai is intargetable when he uses his W, when he's flying onto you and then eventually roots you. So if you think that he's going to root you when you try to fight him, run up to him and pretend to use Q, but don't actually use it. Wait until he uses his W, he lands, and then you use your Q on him so you can follow up with a passive proc and all that good stuff. You should win the lane at 6 easy, by the way. Next up, we have Mordekaiser. Against Mordekaiser, your only chance to really kill him is level 6 and beyond, because he just does too much if you run at him to try and hurt him before then. But Mordekaiser isn't really a hard lane to survive at all. Just stay either away from his spell range, or use your spells to farm minions after he uses his Q to farm minions. Just make sure you don't run at him past your minions and he gets an isolated Q on you, which means that if you're the only thing he hits with his Q, of the enemies, then he ends up doing like double damage, which is very bad for you. But once you hit level 6, it doesn't really matter what he does. Make sure you have Conquer in this lane as your keystone, and you can get Conquer stacked up in a full combo really quickly and just go to town on him once you get level 6 and got yourself in a nice situation with the wave freeze. Next up, we have Nasus. Against Nasus, you can play aggressive off the get-go unless he is an E-max Nasus that just pokes you out. But even if he is, Doran's shield and second one makes it so he won't be able to shove you out of lane. Really, you need to be playing as aggressive as possible against Nasus at all times without shoving the wave too hard. Usually Nasuses will naturally shove the wave by using E to last hit. In a way you can do that, because Nasus's E is such a big range, you can actually zone him off minions and force him to use his E to last hit. You can do that by running into the brushes and hitting with the Q, and eventually he'll be like, alright, well I'm not gonna be able to Q or auto attack these minions, I'm gonna have to throw my E out and just wipe this whole wave out. In which case he'll always be pushing, so you can always be zoning him off of scaling with his Q, but you'll never be the one that's pushing him into the turret. So that's the most ideal way to play against Nasus. Keep him low, keep poking him out, make sure you're warding so you don't get ganked, because he has a really strong W slow and he can help junglers get you. But you should be able to play aggro against him pretty safely the entire time and kill him a few times, because that's what they get for playing Nasus, is they have sacrifice early game for a very strong late game. Next up, we have Neeko. Neeko is very aggressive, especially with buffs she just got as of me making this video in the top lane. So be sure to, you could honestly go for teleport ignite here. It would be pretty good because Neeko is definitely the type of champion that will use brushes to her advantage and snipe you with an E, a few autos and Qs, and it's one of the few champions that can get you out of lane pre-6. So teleport is a really good safety there to make sure you don't lose too many minions when you do have to recall. And then you don't really need flash against a Neeko once you hit level 6. But when you are going into Neeko, just try to farm minions safely, dodge out her E. It's a pretty slow spell, but if you get hit by her E, her snare, you will take a ton of damage. So just keep your distance from her until level 6. And she'll try to hit you with an E under turret while you're farming. Just bait it out. Run up to a minion, but then like run up like you're pretending to CS, and then sidestep it. Otherwise, you are doomed. Okay, next up we are going into, I think, Orianna. Against Orianna, all you have to do is play safe, straightforward, and you'll kill her at level 6. Don't get too greedy and start auto-attacking a bunch of caster minions to last hit. Sacrifice a few minions. Her auto attacks hurt, but she herself has no mobility and ability to like catch up to you and do a big combo onto you. So just sacrifice some minions. You won't die. You can go flash ignite in this lane very easily, and then set yourself up. She'll be pushing the wave out with her Qs and Ws pretty frequently, and then get the wave in a good spot. And then if she's overextended close to your turret, run up to her, and honestly, you could even be ballsy and just flash ult onto her and start calming her, because if she's under the turret, level 6 is Akali, you should be able to really start killing her easy. It's a long lane over there, and Akali has enough mobility to chase her down. But good luck on that. Okay, next up we have Ornn. Ornn, very simple lane. Stay away from the walls when you're fighting him. Stay away from the pillar he brings out of the air when you're fighting him, and go conquer and just do small trades against him until it is inevitably time to kill him. Ornn himself doesn't do a lot of damage unless he gets up to do a powered auto on you or he knocks you up. So just be mindful, don't AFK brain the lane. Turn your brain on for this one and it'll be very easy. Against Pantheon, you definitely want to go flash teleport. This is a specific situation because Pantheon counters Akali very hard. He's the ultimate lane bully, so you could say. There's not much you can do against him at any stage of the game, at least until really, really late game. If you can manage to play safe, he'll be pushing the wave because he's trying to poke you out, and that's just how it goes. And then you can try to get a jungler to help you, but just play safe, get teleports so you can scale. Next up, we have Poppy. Just against Poppy, you can play as aggressive as you want, but don't get hit by her E into a wall, and don't fight her when she's about to pick up her passive. When she throws out her ranged auto attack and she picks up her passive that gives her a giant shield, don't fight her and try to break that shield. Just wait it out in the laning phase. And other than that, you should be able to go even or take slightly better trades than her. So, yeah. Next up, we have Qiyana. Qiyana is... You should be able to win this lane unless you're in Challenger, and then they get really, really good. But basically, against Qiyana, just try to play aggressive at level 1 until she gets her Q and her W. But once she gets her Q and her W, you need to stay behind minions. After her Q hits minions, it doesn't spread that far behind them. It kind of looks like it's a little bit longer than it is. And this matchup is so element dependent because she can throw a snare at you, she can throw it in like a brush at you. But in general, just go in for Qs, and then if she throws a snare or invisibility, if she throws in a water at you, like a snare, she has her water ready to go, then try to E it because normally Qiyana's will EQ in that situation to try and guarantee a snare. But you can use your dash while she's dashing onto you, and then she ends up missing her Q, and then you end up hitting it. It's kind of like when an EKKO tries to E onto you. It's a very similar thing. They dash forward onto you, and you dash backwards, dodging theirs, and you hit them. But other than that, against Qiyana, just make sure you're not too close to a wall if you're like 75% health or higher, because Qiyana has a crazy, crazy burst potential once she gets her first item, Sarah to Dirk. But if you play aggressive and you don't get hit by too many free Qs, you should be able to win the lane. Next up, we have Quinn. Against Quinn, you have no chance of really doing anything until level 6, because Quinn will blind you in the face, and then when she hits done harassing you with that and the mark she gets after that, she'll just push you back, and it's pretty much impossible to kill Quinn until you hit 6. So just farm with your spells and play safe. Once you hit level 6, you can immediately just ult the Quinn. She's a pretty short range 80 carry. You should be able to get your ult off and then run her down. Standard combos that we talked about in the guide. Next up, we have Renekton. Renekton, you can win at level 1, and then that's it until level 6. Make sure you have Conqueror in this lane, and be wary of the spells Renekton has. If Renekton goes W at level 1, or if you don't know what spell Renekton has at level 1, assume it's W, and then they're going for a E at level 2, and they're going to go for 50 Fury and try to dash onto you and knock out half your health with one spell. I would say your best bet against Renekton, because he's such a big lane bully, and Akali is like one of the weaker early game champions, like in lane. I would probably just play it safe and don't try to play aggressive against Renekton. Even I, as like a challenger player, whenever I go against a Renekton, I usually regret it. That and Irelia, when I play against those champions in lane, try to play aggressive early, you end up dying. And it is unfortunate, but it is what it is. So just play safe until 6, and then you can go ham. Next up, we have Rengar. Rengar is... It's tricky because he does a good amount of damage, but he also isn't as strong as you think, and he has a telegraphed jump onto you. So if you want, you could get in a spot where Rengar would jump onto you and there are none of his minions in the way. You can actually get him to jump onto you, and then you use your E, hit him with it, fly in, hit him again, hit him with the passive proc, hit him with the Q. You can actually take good trades against a Rengar. You have to play it based off of your cooldowns being up, though. If you try to fight Rengar without everything up, you're gonna lose the trade. It's just how it is. Just don't fight Rengar without your cooldowns, otherwise he will destroy you. But then once you hit level 6, you have way more damage than him, since his ult is meant for jungling and roaming And Akali's ult is meant for killing one person very, very hard. Yeah. Next up, we have Riven. Riven is relatively easy to kill as Akali because if she ever gets too close to you, like if she uses her second Q or she's about to use her third Q with a dash, just never get in range of her to EW you, which is like, it's a small dash and then like a really small range stun. Just keep a little bit of distance, and then if she ever really commits with like a dash and a Q, like her E and her Q, then you can use your E to dash away from her. And there are even ways, there's other ways to beat Riven, like if she's about to use her third Q onto you, it's gonna take a second to stun you. If you know you're about to get hit by a knockup on her third Q, and you don't have time to dash away, you can literally just press W, and then she can't follow it up with an auto, W auto, and then you can like trade back even harder. So Riven's pretty easy, honestly. Just connecting your R plus E combo at level 6 is difficult against Riven because she has an instant dash. She has a bunch of them. So in this situation against Riven, I might ult, and instead of using my E immediately, just go for an ult into a passive proc and see how she dashes and play that part of the all-in combo reactionary. Next up, we have Rumble. Against Rumble, you need to just play safe until level 6. He does way too much damage. He is a AP lane bully, and once you hit level 6, go Conqueror, and you'll have all the damage in the world to kill him 1v1. He doesn't have the potential to bully you in lane too much because his spells that bully you also push the wave, and he always is just pushing the wave over and over again. So just bow down to him early game, take some poke, but mostly just use your spells to farm safely, and do not get hit by a slow into his overheating Q. Against a Rise, what you want to do is look to play aggressive at level 3 and beyond, but if he hits you with a E, use your Shroud. Don't take the Q, or don't take the W Q. Don't take his full combo. If he hits you with an E before you're able to get in range to Q him or hit him with an E, then you don't want to take the trade. Just back it out. Rise can actually do a lot of damage, and you don't want to ever overextend towards his turret before 6 and not have your ult and end up missing spells, because he'll run you down really hard. Rise does a lot of consistent damage even as early as level 2 or 3, so you got to be extra careful to not play aggro at the wrong times against him. Some champions really, it doesn't matter if you go against an AHRI and she misses, you mess some spells early but she misses the spells, like, or after she hits her spells even, she has auto attacks that do 40 damage. Rise will consistently be hitting you with Q crits and autos and W's. It's brutal. Next up, we have Seraphine. Seraphine is very simple, very straightforward. Just don't even bother trying to poke her until 6 unless she uses all of her abilities quickly. But in general, you try to run up at her, she's just going to poke you out. Her spells have a relatively low cooldown as well. Just wait till 6 and destroy her. She's a very easy lane to survive because her spells are so slow. And then she just doesn't have damage to fight you at 6. Unless you really just get poked and fail every single time you try to engage. But it should be as simple as just waiting until you're under the turret and then jumping her with your ult. R plus E combo is good here. Next up, we have Set. Against Set, you want to play incredibly safe until 6. That's a given. You can't play aggro against Set. He just does way too much damage. He's got auto resets. He's a strong auto attacker. He's a bruiser lane bully, but luckily he's a lot easier to survive because he doesn't have range poke. He'll try to Q up to you and then hit you with the E, which pulls you in. Just if he does that, press Shroud right as he's pulling you in if you're not going to be able to E it. And I mean, you don't really take damage from his E. It doesn't do much at all. It's just what follows up is the auto Q. If you try to fight back, he'll just hit you with a big W. Just wait until 6. Make sure you have Conquer as a keystone in this lane. Just play safe. And the thing is, once you are level 6 against him, you have a little bit of mobility to be able to try and dodge out his W. and you can run him down. You do more damage. He's melee versus an Akali, and Akali does really good against melees after 6 or even in lane because of her Shroud. So you can, if he's getting in range to auto attack you, just Shroud, pop out on a different side of the brush. He's not looking. He's not hugging, and just hit him with some poke and then back out, and then wait for your Shroud and whatever poke you use to go back off cooldown. Next up, we have Shen. Shen will destroy you until, unless he uses his Q to farm minions, he will destroy you. So whenever Shen's Q is up, his empowered auto attacks, do not fight him. What you can do is get in range of a max range Shen taunt, and then like pretend like you're going up for a minion. And a lot of times Shens will use you trying to go for a minion as a chance to hit them to hit you with a taunt. So you can actually bait out his taunt and then hit him with an E or just hit him with some spells. His taunt's a really high cooldown, so you should be able to do a lot of damage to him or get a lot of pressure on him in the lane until his E comes back up, his taunt. Next up, we have Singed. Singed is just farm. Just farm. If he's proxy Singed, then go for Dark Seal very early because he's gonna die a lot just because he's like it's literally just suicide Singed. You'll be able to stack you'll be able to stack up Dark Seal and Medjai's a lot easier and make them. You get like an extra kill worth of gold value when you do that, when you get a Medjai's. But obviously don't get a Medjai's first item. Make sure you're actually killing him with everything else you've learned in the guide. But other than that, if he's not a proxy Singed and he's laning against you, it really is as simple as Q him when he runs up to you. If he uses his W to like try and slow you and immobilize you, or you know, make it so you can't dash away, just use your Shroud and then get out of range of him being able to fling you. And then yeah, but you just want to stay out of range of Singe the whole time and just throw spells at him. And he's pretty squishy for a bruiser, so should be easy. Against Sion, just his Q takes way too long to charge up, so you can use that to your advantage. If he is inting Sion, where he's just going for turret plates the whole time, you can go for Medjai's and become a monster going into the mid and late game. Usually Sions will just into the turret. But yeah, other than that, I mean, he'll try to push your minions into you to poke you, and then hit you with a charged up Q. Everything he does is very easy to play against. If he charges up a Q, run away from it immediately. Get out of the ranges, the radius of it. If he uses his W, back up for a second. Don't try to trade through it unless he has nothing else up. And yeah, overall, pretty easy lane. Level 6 against Sion, just you can use your ultimate and your E to make it so you can body block him away from ulting away. And in fact, you want to make sure you are fighting Sion in between him and his turret, so he can't ult into the turret to escape, because he becomes unstoppable. But if he runs into a champion, he stops immediately, so you can body block him from escaping when you engage on him. Next up, we have Swain. This matchup is impossible to win pre-6 due to his recent buffs or rework. So go for a early item, Oblivion Orb. I might even get it first item against this guy. Like make that your first item when you recall with 600 gold. And just, you can kill him very easily at level 6, but just use your spells to survive his poke. And if he hits you with a W, or if he hits you with an E, you can use your W to try and negate the damage he does. But honestly, your best chance in the lane versus Swain is 1, use your spells to safely farm without getting poked too hard, and 2, dodge his E at all costs, because if he hits an E, he'll hit a W and a Q as well, which is no good for you. But with that said, you can go Flash Ignite here. You don't need teleport, but you can also go teleport. If you find this lane to be hard for you, you can go teleport Ignite. Next up, we have Silas. I would go Oblivion Orb first item here versus him and go for Conquer. And Silas is very easy to beat in the lane if you are aggressive enough and you don't. So here's how Silas works. Once he gets down to a certain percentage health, I think, he can W you and heal a ton. But his W has a pretty high cooldown, and he has to dash onto you to use it. So if you have Ignite here, you can like fight him pre-6, dodge his Qs out. When his cool spells are using, when he uses the spells to farm, you can play aggressive and like try to do some poke onto him. And silences usually feel comfortable using spells to farm and then getting hit by a little bit of harass because they think they'll just heal up on you in a bit. But once you're ready to all in him at like level 5, you can use your Ignite right when you think he's going to dash onto you and negate most of his healing out. And then, yeah, just play aggressive, play reactionary to the way he uses his abilities. And it's not the hardest lane in the world, for sure. It's actually pretty easy to beat Sylas if you're good at being aggressive. But until then, if you're like a new Akali player, yeah, I would just practice playing aggressive in this lane because it's a really fun lane to play, honestly. Very, very, very action heavy. Next up, we have Syndra. Against Syndra, do not play aggressive at all. Here's what you want to do until you hit level 6 and you can start killing her. You want to run up to minions and pretend to last hit them, but then back up. Make Syndra waste her Q. Syndras will always try to poke you out when you're going for minions because it's the most reliable way. Once her Q is down, if you think you have an opportunity to harass her, go for it. But in general, decent to good Syndras are really hard to kill pre-6, but Syndra is incredibly immobile, and Akali can R plus E combo Syndra at 6, and even if Syndra pushes her the Akali away, you can fly back in with your E and just continue to comboing them, and you should be able to really, really kill them quickly post 6. But just use your spells to farm safely. I really don't recommend playing aggressive against Syndra until 6, until you're like until you're medium to expert level Akali. Next up, we have Taliyah. Taliyah is a very, very easy champion to beat in the mid lane as long as you don't get hit by her W, which pushes you into her rocks and whatnot. And she's very immobile, and she's very easy to hit your R plus E combo once you hit level 6. It's just a standard mage versus Akali matchup. Don't play aggro until 6. Otherwise, she's just gonna, like, minimum, she throws a bunch of Qs at you while you're using your E onto her. Just play safe till 6, trust me. Unless you have an opportunity where she uses her cooldowns to farm the wave, but that doesn't usually happen. Next up, we have Talon. Against Talon, just need to make sure you don't get hit by both parts of his W, because if you do get hit by the front and the back end of Talon's W, the spell he throws out, he can Q you from a distance, dash onto you, and that'll proc his passive, which will do a crazy amount of bleed damage. As long as you are careful, you don't stay in too close to him so he can't possibly get both parts of his W off, and you don't run up to him so he can get a critical strike on his Q. You should be able to win the lane very slowly. The problem is when you run up too close to a Talon and he has his W up, you kind of need to just wait and try to bait out his W, and then once he uses his W, then you can go for a Q and then a passive proc. But you also want to shroud right after you use your passive, just so he can't walk up a little bit and be in range to critically strike you with his Q. Past that, the lane plays out the same post 6. You can't just run up to him like an idiot and do a bunch of damage, but if you jump a Talon post 6 as Akali, when you are under your turrets and you got a lot of range to work with, there's a pretty decent chance you can kill him. He's not going to kill you, that's for sure. Unless you mess up horribly, you'll have way more damage than him, assuming his W, you jump him after he uses his W. And then, yeah. Next up, we have Teemo. Against Teemo, just play safe until 6. You don't really need to go for teleport here. You just play safe until 6. And once you're level 6, he is a pretty short range champion. He's very squishy. And one thing is that his blind will get rid of your passive, and obviously it doesn't do damage. So when you jump him after you pop out of the brush, make sure you wait out the blind if you think he's gonna blind you right when you pop out, or if he uses the blind as you're ulting, then that's perfect. You can wait and shroud for the blind to go away and then continue comboing him that way. Next up, we're going against a Tristana. Against Tristana, all you have to do is save your shroud in case Tristana jumps you with her W, If she hits you with an E, which is the grenade, then just back up and don't let her keep on proccing it. Overall, the lane is very simple, and if she does throw her grenade onto you, you can actually run into your caster minions and make the grenade do damage onto your caster minions, which will help you push the wave into your turret faster if you want to, just to play the lane a little bit safer. But Tristana is pretty straightforward in terms of what she does. There's no surprises when it comes to the damage she does, and there's no surprises to the fact that she's a ranged AD carry in mid lane. So just be sure to respect the fact that she wins until 6 and then enjoy farming her, because she's now an AD carry stuck with a level 6 Akali in the mid lane. R plus E combo is good here, because if you ult her and then connect your E, even if she W's away or if she ults you away, you'll be able to fly back and follow her with your E2. Next up we have Trundle. Very simple lane. Just save your W, your Shroud, for if Trundle uses his pillar or he commits by using his little area of effect battle spell. Not really sure what it's called. But Trundle is a very, very simple matchup. You can use your E to hit him reliably. He's got no dashes. And you can Shroud whenever he gets too close, or when he ults you, you can literally just Shroud to wait it out. You can use ult to dash away from him being able to auto attack you. Trundle is an incredibly easy lane for Akali. Next up we have Tryndamere. Against Tryndamere, you need to be careful about getting cheesed by his level 1 and level 2 damage. But past that, once you have your level 3, you can W every time he dashes onto you or spins onto you. You can use your E when he uses his E, his spin, if there are no minions in the way, and you can take a good trade. You can follow up with your E2, auto him, and then Q on the way out. As long as you don't get caught out halfway in the lane without your E or your W, you will be fine. You'll beat the Tryndamere very hard, because Akali does counter Tryndamere in terms of he is only auto attacks, and you have a Shroud that makes it so it's impossible to auto attack you. Next up we have Twisted Fate. Twisted Fate's first thing I'm gonna mention is his ult reveals you in Shroud, so you're never really safe from ganks, and late game in team fights he can ult to pop you out of Shroud, so keep that in mind. Zhonya's becomes your best friend in that situation. But in lane, Twisted Fate's just gonna shove the wave and permanently shove and throw spells out to try and clear the wave, and if you ever try to run at him, he'll probably hit you with the gold card. But if there's ever a chance to do damage to him pre-6, it's when he uses his W, his red card probably, or blue card, whatever card he picks out, to shove the wave. And then at that point, you can try to hit him with an E or hit him with a Q, but most likely you're never going to be able to hurt him until you hit level 6. And then at that point, if you hit your R plus E combo, even if he gold cards you, it doesn't matter. He's immobile, he's a squishy mage. Very easy to kill him post 6, very easy. Next up we have Urgot. Urgot's gonna try and bully you in lane with his grenades. I don't recommend playing any form of aggressive against Urgot until 6, because he just has too much tankiness and too much damage. What I would do against Urgot is wait for level 6, ult him, and then when he uses his minigun, if he uses minigun immediately, I might Shroud to wait it out, and then at that point he has no damage compared to a level 6 Akali. Make sure you have Conquer in this lane for the consistent damage. But yeah, it'll take like maybe one combo, like try to start fighting Urgot level 5, get yourselves both to like 70%, try to take a little bit of a good trade, and then once you hit level 6, once your spells are back up, then you can go in for the killing combo that we just mentioned. Next up we have Veigar. Against Veigar, what you can do is play aggressive and dodge his Q at the same time and his W. So Veigar will try to, I'm not sure how you say his name, but anyways, he'll try to hit your Q, hit his Q to hit a minion and then you. You need to know the range on his Q, and he's also going to be using his Q to farm because it gives him permanent AP. Your best window to try to zone him off of a few minions, if you want to play aggressive pre-6, because you can, is once he uses his Q. But you don't want to run at him brainlessly, because he'll just Q you in the face, get free AP off of you. If he hits you with any spells, he gets free AP from his passive. So keep that in mind. But once he uses his Q, you can run at him. He'll probably use his stun. You can just back up or use your shroud. If you ever get caught in the middle of his stun, you can use your shroud in it, and you can dodge his W incredibly easily. And yeah, other than that, he is an immobile, squishy mage, and have fun destroying him at level 6 and beyond. He also doesn't poke that hard because he's a scaling champion, so it's pretty easy to survive him. You should never die to a Vygar pre-6. Vel'Koz, up next we have Vel'Koz. So against this champion, you just need to don't get too close to him to the point where you can hit his E, his circle that knocks you up, because that'll lead into him hitting his W and his Q, and then he'll get his passive proc and he'll do a bunch of damage. Other than that, if he tries to throw his Q, you should be able to dodge it. And the way it works is he throws it out straight, and then it goes out at the 180 degree different angle. I don't know what the degree is. Anyways, you should be able to know how it works after you see the first one he throws out. Just dodge that, and the way you can do that is just giving yourself a little distance on him. But once you hit level 6, it should be very easy to kill him. But you will, as long as you keep distance on Vel'Koz, it's really hard for him to hit his Q, which is what he needs to hit to do a bunch of damage. Because if you have Doran's Shield and Second Wind, him just hitting W's isn't gonna ever get you out of lane. So should be easy post 6, and just survive the lane till then. Up next we have Vex. Seems like a difficult match, but honestly it's not. Just because, I mean, Vex counters dashes, but it doesn't really matter because you're not really dashing pre-6, and post-6 you destroy Vex because she's an immobile mage. All you need to do is play aggressive when her fear is down, and don't even try to play aggro pre-6, because she's just gonna throw spells at you and run away. Try to bait out her E, because she's always gonna try and E you and then hit you with an auto attack as a follow-up to proc electrocute. That's her classic combo. And then dodging her Q, which is her little laser beam she throws out, is so easy because it comes out so slow at the beginning that you can dodge it very easily. Like, if you ever get hit by them, it's because you're not trying hard enough, you're not paying enough attention, or you're 60 years old and you don't have reflexes. I'm just kidding. Sorry to any 6-year-olds out there. I'm sure you're very, very fast. Next up, we have Victor. This champion is going to try and Q you and then auto you at level 1. So you can take the first one at level 1, because it's going to mean that you hit your first 3 minions by Qing all of them, or you can like auto one of them and then Q all of them to get the first 3 minions. It's okay if he Qs you and autos you, because that's the whole point of it having health regen. But past that, past the first minions, when you're starting to heal up, you need to start healing up 80%. You don't want to be lower than 75% in the lane. Then you start using your spells to safely farm. It's really, really hard to avoid getting hit by his max range lasers, but that's okay. Just don't let him keep on Q autoing you on repeat, and you should be able to safely farm enough minions to do a good job and then hit level 6 and destroy him. And then also Akali post 6 has enough mobility to counter out Victor's stun circle just by ulting over it, or just make sure you don't get hit by the stun in the middle of your combo. Like, run around it, work yourself around it. Next up we have Vladimir. This champion is incredibly easy to survive the lane. He doesn't do that much poke. If he's about to charge up his E, stand behind minions. If his Q is about to be empowered, either get out of range or shroud so he can't target you, or if you think you have the damage to kill him, you can actually bait it by having him run up to you right when his Q is about to be empowered. Like, literally, I'm talking half a second before that red bar comes up. You can ignite him. He ends up not getting the empowered heal, and then you win the trade way harder now. And then post 6, you just ult him and then play your combos a little bit slowly. Don't just blow your whole load at once, because you might miss your Q and your R2 because he pulls the proper time. It's better to just play it a little bit slower but aggressive, like consistent, like Q, passive rock, Q, passive rock, E, passive rock, against Vladimir, because you want to ult after he uses his pool, obviously. That would be the most ideal situation. But sometimes they'll hold it until they're under their... It just depends on how far out he is and how well you hit your spells. Next up, we're going against a Volibear. Against a Volibear, you can E out of his E, or the circle that comes through the air and eventually hits you. So he should never poke you that way. You can shroud his Q and then pop out and poke him. And you should never be in auto attack range for him to W over and over again. This lane is very reactionary, but you don't do much damage against a tank. So just play safe and slow, play with your cooldowns, and make sure you don't miss your E, because that takes away a lot of pressure. If anything, you can hold your E so he can never just run up and Q you without regretting it. Next up, we have Warwick. Warwick is pretty much impossible to kill. I've even played against the best Warwick in the world. He's just going to be too tanky and then heal with his autos and then Q you. So what I would do is I would go for a first item Oblivion Orb. Make sure you have Conquer as your keystone. And against Warwick, I would try to start playing aggressive at 6. If he does go aggressive on you and run at you, obviously you should save your E to hit him, and then if he uses and fly at him, and then if he uses his fear, you can use your shroud and avoid taking damage from him fearing you and autoing and queuing you. The lane is very slow and straightforward. It's just Warwicks will always try to bait you into thinking you win, and they usually have barrier for this exact reason, and then they'll start autoing you with low health and queuing you and healing half their health with a single Q. I would just not play the lane aggressive at all. Not a single aggressive bone in your body until level 6. Get an Oblivion Orb, and then from there, get the lane to be under your turret, and then ult him and start comboing him out and all that fun stuff. He's probably going to try to barrier if he does. I don't think I've ever seen a Warwick in lane not have barrier. So with that in mind, they're probably going to save barrier for when they think you're going to use your R2 to execute them, in which case hold it for another second, see if they use the barrier, and then if they do, you can wait it out and then R2 them after it expires, and then boom, they just got outplayed. Next up, we have Wukong. Wukong level 1, you can play aggressive, but I don't recommend it. Usually if you want to beat a Wukong at level 1, see what ability they have first, or because if they have E and you Q them, they're gonna end up just hitting you a bunch and taking out half your health. So it might be best to just play the lane safe until level 3. But at level 3, if he ever is using his E onto you, if you're fast enough, you can use your E onto him before he goes invisible. Wukong doesn't do that much damage unless he starts snowballing. But in general, it's a losing lane for Wukong, or for Akali to play aggressive in most of the time. You can though pretty much break even or take slightly bad trades. So if you have an aggressive jungler, I would say it's definitely worth trying to play aggro, because if anything, you can really test your limits with how aggressive this matchup can be if you're both playing aggressive. But once you hit level 6, it should be pretty easy to kill him just by using your ults. Your ult's a little bit stronger. His ult does a lot of damage too, but your ult does more. So you win at level 6 with Conquer and full health. Next up, we have Xerath. Xerath is brutal if you run too far close and he ends up hitting his E and his W. Xerath should never get the strong end of his W onto you, which is his circle that he throws out, unless he hits a stun. But he should never be he should never hit a stun, because you should never be not behind your minions. They should be in the way, so you can't hit that stun. He's gonna hit Qs consistently. It's not that hard for him to hit a Q, but Akali with Doran Shield and Second Wind heals enough to the point where it doesn't matter. You just need to farm for level 6. Once you have level 6, you can run at him, try to sidestep his stun, he might try to hit you with the W first to slow you and then hit his stun. But if he does end up doing that, even if he hits you and you can't chase him, then you wait until next time he comes in range. Then you run at him again, and this time he won't have a stun because it's a pretty big cooldown. And then you can go in for a combo to try and kill him. There's this immobile mage that is very squishy, and I mean you can also ask your support or jungle to gank for you once you're level 6 and just dive him. That's pretty easy too. Next up we have Yasuo. This lane is very easy to win if you know what you're doing, so I'm going to tell you exactly what to do at what levels. If Yasuo starts a Q at level 1, wait, dodge out the first tornado he throws out. He's going to use 2 Qs on the wave usually, and then once he clears out the first 3 minions, he'll try to hit you with the knockup. Honestly, most of the time against Yasuo, you just don't play aggressive at all in level 1. Level 2, he's going to hit level 2 first because he has way more wave clear, and then he's going to try and dash on minions and then dash onto you and hit you with a bunch of autos while you're level 1. So because of that, he's going to end up having the lane priority. He's going to get level 2 first. I'd play safe until level 3. Once the wave crashes. At that point, if you're playing against a full health level 3 Yasuo as a level 3 Akali, normally he is going to try to dash onto you, and when he does that, he's usually going to try and use Wind Wall as he's dashing onto you because he thinks you're going to throw your E onto him. So instead, you don't throw your Wind Wall and you just Shroud. Wait until he's overextended now, and his Wind Wall is down, and then at that point, you can hit him with the Q. Once he comes on the right side of the wind wall, you can hit him with an auto, an E, take a small trade. But Yasuo is pretty simple to beat because they're always way too aggressive. It's just like a Yasuo syndrome type of thing. And once you hit level 6, you can all in him. You have to play the lane slow because he has the wind wall. You don't want to have him negate out your E or your Q. Because even at level 6, your Q takes up a lot of energy, and having that be negated would be very unfortunate. So just play the lane slow, ult Shroud instead of ult Q. But if he's not the type that uses his wind wall immediately, you can kind of read the type of Yasuo he is just by playing the lane for a few minutes. If he's not that type, then you can R plus E combo him, or hit him with the Q right when he dashes, hit him with the E when he dashes. It just depends on the lane. You have to be a little reactionary, a little bit of reading against the guy, but yeah, it's a pretty easy lane to win if you play aggressive and smart. The worst thing you could do is get caught out without cooldowns. He'll dash on you using all the minions on your side and then start destroying you. Next up we have Yone. Yone is so easy to win against, it's hilarious, because on his third Q, he dashes forward with the Q, and it makes it so easy to hit your E. Not to mention, his W, like if he tries to throw his W out, you can just wait out the shield from a safe distance, or wait it out in Shroud, and just overall, Akali's E directly counters Yone's Q, so you should be able to win every single Yone lane. It's very easy. You don't want to get caught out without your Shroud or your E, because that's when Yone will start trying to destroy you. That's when he has the only opportunity Yone has to really beat you is when you have no spells or energy, which should never happen. Because even if you only have your Q up, you can slow him down with the Q to the point where he can't just keep hitting you with Qs and autos and whatnot. He's not like Yasuo where he can get right on top of you just by a spell that has no cooldown. Next up we have Yorick. Against Yorick, your Shroud is very useful if he gets you in that cage, or if he hits you with his E and sends all the ghouls flying onto you. You don't want to ever get in range for him to hit you with a Q, because that just does a lot of damage. And in essence, the lane should be pretty straightforward. Go conquer and play aggressive, because you have Shroud, you have the ability to destroy him and never get hit by his autos, and then you beat him at 6. He's tanky, and if you get caught out without spells and he hits his E and W's you, if he catches you out without energy or cooldowns, he can definitely kill you. But it's pretty hard for York to kill you. You'd have to mess up pretty hard, and it's Akali's lane to win. Let's just put it that way. Next up, we have Zed. Against Zed, you need to make sure you are standing behind minions, or sometimes, because the way Zed works is his Q does a lot of extra damage to the first target it hits. So what you can do against Zed is actually run out of your minions for a second to see if you can get it out of him. But otherwise, if he hits one of your minions and then he hits you, it does like 40 damage. It does no damage. You'll end up healing all of it with Second Wind and Doran Shield. And then what he'll try to do later on in the lane is throw out his Shadow, hit you with an E to slow you, and then hit you with double Q. Very classic combo, in which case you need to just be zigzagging non-stop against Zed. That's the moral of the story is, don't be predictable. Don't go left, right, left, right, left, right. Go left, right, 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 left, right, right, and then just like go back, forth. It's just, you cannot be predictable in the way you juke his skill shots. Otherwise, you'll take a lot of damage. If you get, it is very reasonable that you lose this lane, because if Zed is decent and he hits skill shots, there's really not much Akali can do about it. But once you hit level 6, you can shroud the Zed ult if you want, but I usually just play aggressive in this lane because Zed is pretty weak damage-wise compared to Akali at 6. Next up, we have Ziggs. Standard mage versus Akali situation. Just use your spells to safely farm. Then you hit level 6. You're gonna have to just dodge skill shots. He's gonna try and poke you with his Q while you're farming, and you need to sacrifice some CS. Don't want to get chunked out of the lane. It's very hard to get chunked out of lane. Just make sure you're sacrificing, specifically the melee minions. You don't want to ever use auto attacks on the melees because you'll have to overextend to the point where Ziggs can hit you with his spells. And that's not always the case. So, you know, it depends on how he positions. But in general, just play safe until level 6 and then hit him with your R plus E combo. And even if he W's away or W's you away, you can follow up with him. He's a very squishy, mostly immobile mage. Next up, we have Zilean. The lane is incredibly easy as long as you don't get hit by his double bomb. And the way that works is if he throws one bomb on top of another, you should be able to stand next to other minions. Just don't stand in range of his Q, I would say. And if you are going to stand in range of his Q, just don't stand in range of him being able to just hit you with 2 back to back. Another way Zilean can poke you out is by throwing a bomb on a minion that has 1 auto attack from death, and then he'll kill the minion and then pop it early, and that will do damage to you. But in general, Zilean is an incredibly easy lane to kill, and he doesn't do enough poke to really poke you out, so you shouldn't have problems in this lane. And now for our last matchup, we have Zoe. Zoe is incredibly difficult to play against as Akali, and this is the only lane where I would recommend going Fleet Footwork, but if you didn't, it's okay. I'm going to explain how to play against her if you don't have it, but she does counter you, so what I would do is stand behind minions when she throws her Q out and make it so she can't hit you with her Q, which is that little thing that she throws out behind her and then she throws towards you. Other than that, don't ever let her get her sleepy bubble off, and the way she would ever get that off is if you just run at her directly. You can run at her from a pretty decent distance, like almost max range ult distance, and then sidestep it, and if you get rid of her E and you can get your ult off, she's dead. That's the challenge, is baiting out her E and then killing her after that point. But in general, she's a very, very strong lane bully who does really well against Akali because Akali has linear damage. Like, she ults in a line, she E's you in a line for the most part. You can't really E to the side to dodge her E because then you just won't have damage to kill her. Obviously, the situations always vary. But yeah, the lane is difficult, but just don't get poked out early. That's my best advice. Stay exceptionally safe and miss even more CS than most mages. And then you should be fine to start doing work at level 6. Level 6, you have a way better chance of killing her. Like, you do win the lane at 6, just not even as hard as like if you're going against a Zilean or Ziggs, but you do win 6 Akali versus Zoe.